Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Focus on Liberia. We call Between the Headlines. And my name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. As you may know, today is day one of the Joseph Newman Boakai presidency. President Boakai was inaugurated today in Monrovia, and today marked day one of his presidency. Well, we're going to talk about that, what all that went down today, about the inauguration, the appointments, the program itself, his speech, and some of his accomplishments on day one. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Let me welcome Mr. Anthony C.A., who's the host of the Hour of Politics right here on Focus on Liberia. Mr. C.A., welcome to the show.
Dennis, thank you. It's good to be here talking about day one of the Boakai presidency. I want to be part of this history. Let's go.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Thomas Kane. He's the FOL Public Financial Management Consultant right here on Focus on Liberia. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. Great to be here.
Let me also welcome a young man who just celebrated a bouncing baby. And I saw the very colorful baby shower. That's Mr. Darlington Collins. His friends call him Comrade Darlington Collins. Welcome, young man.
Thank you, big brother Dennis Jai. And it's always a pleasure to be here on Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for coming. Let me welcome FOL, our health contributor, Abby Tyler, the family nurse practitioner. Abby, welcome to the show. Abby also hosts Abby Tyler's Healthy Living right here on Focus on Liberia. Welcome, Abby.
Thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me?
Very well.
All right. If I have any issue with my internet tonight, I'll just call back and be on the phone, okay?
All right. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. If you have not done so already, please share the show, invite a friend, and let's get started with day one of the Boakai presidency. And gentlemen, you all watch TV today. Let me start by saying, just in 30 seconds or so, your opening statements concerning day one of the Boakai presidency. Darlington, what's your impression?
Well, not very impressive. There are a lot of optics about the event, but I think the takeaway from the program was the abrupt, disruption of the program by His Excellency the President. I mean, these on a natural or whether it is medical circumstances, we do acknowledge the fact that these things are extremely critical and they are important. The health people will probably deliberate more on that. But when you are going to these kinds of, state functions, you want to cushion for, whatever environment you will meet there. The presidency, you president of a very tropical, sometimes very hot area. So these are things that, they're normal. They are not new to our country. So it's not like we're talking about a republic where, it's hot like Vegas in the summertime. We all know how Monrovia is. So not very impressive, because the international cables, the takeaway from the program is discussing the abrupt, disruption of the program. Yes, I mean, is there hope for our country? Yes. I mean, President-elect deliberating on whole tongues and tongues of issues. And we'll delve into the conversation as we move forward.
Thank you. Let me call on our health contributor. And by the way, she doesn't only talk health, okay? She's going to talk some politics here tonight too. Abby, day one.
In a word, poorly, well, not one word, a couple of words: chaotic, poorly planned. His handlers failed him. I'm trying not to be too harsh on him, because I was harsh on my personal page, but yeah, looking at it from a professional landscape, yes, chaotic, poorly planned.
Yeah, I saw a lot of posts from you on the health issue, but we'll come back to that. Let me go to Tom. Mr. Cannon.
I mean, it was a day meant for celebrations. I mean, we've gone through a lot as a country. To see us having these peaceful transitions is always a moment for celebration. I mean, you could see President We are leaving and turning the gavel of authority over to a new president, which was very exciting. But like Dalunton said, I mean, that celebration was cut short because of how abruptly the program ended. But in the end, I think the critical part of it, which was the transition of power, actually took place before the incident took place. So I do see people are still celebrating in Monrovia, but I think the optics of it, the way it ended, I mean, there are very good things in the speech, but the president could not read everything until the disruption took place. So I think we just pick up from there and be able to move forward. But I think the critical part of the transition in government, in administration, took place.
Thank you. Mr. Oskey.
That is an event that was intended for us as a country to make yet another historical transition, ended to be an embarrassment, nationally speaking. And Abby said the planning was poor, and I don't want to argue about that. The planners could have done a much better job. Liberia has been hot since 1847. They made a decision to plan and use the yard of the capital. I agree with that, because it has so much space to, welcome more people. And so the fact that you made that decision and you are aware that usually in January, it is always hot, you should have done proper planning to build a canopy and maybe do something that will provide some kind of cooling for the kind of president that we elected. The thing about age is natural. And so they should have planned for that. Anything that will prevent, any such situation that we experience today. And so the headlines coming out of this event now is that, the inauguration of Joseph Boakai was aborted. The president was helped from the podium and he could not end his speech. That is very sad. Things could be better handled to prevent that. If it is medical, I don't know whether that could be prevented, but I think, yes, it could be prevented. Then the speech was long. That contributed to that, because from my calculation, he was about within 30 minutes of his speech when that happened. So they could have written something shorter that he could read in at least 20 minutes max. I would go for 10, and that would be enough, but that was not done. And so, instead of talking about why should have been is historic transition. Now we're talking about a situation that we got ourselves in because, the organizers did not plan better. So it was a poor program.
And that's the point, right? Because all the things have been overshadowed by this one incident. The first time I saw a peaceful transition was at my church in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, where the older pastor was stepping aside and the younger pastor was taking over. That was my first transition in my life. And now Liberia has been accustomed to transitions now. And today was a beautiful scene, seeing the three presidents, the two former presidents and the current president or the incoming president holding hands. That was beautiful. But instead, we are discussing something else now, which kind of captured the moment. This is where I want to start from, right? I've broken this down into a few. Number one that I want to start from is the good old asset declaration. According to law, they say every public official and employee of government involved in making decisions affecting contracting, tendering, or procurement and issuance of licenses of various types shall sign performance or financial bonds and shall in addition declare his or her income, assets, and liability prior to taking office and thereafter. So this was day one. The president, the vice president have taken office without declaring their asset or publishing. Because, and let me mention that we do not know, they could sign it and submit it to LACC or the relevant authority. But what we didn't see is there was no publication and there's no press conference or press statement coming out from Unity Party talking about asset declaration. Mr. Kane, again, the president and vice president, do we say that they are non-compliant when it comes to asset declaration, or we don't know enough yet?
Well, if they have not declared their assets, then they are in violation of the code of conduct, because this law was revised quite recently, and it did require government officials, incoming government officials, to declare before they can take their seats. So if they've not published, and they've not published it, then it will be another issue of discussion that yes, you declare, but you've not published. But the law specifically says that it should be published. And so considering the fact that we've not seen it, then that would be an oversight if the vice president and the president have not done their asset declarations. I've also heard conversations in the lower house. I think they had a resolution that all of them should declare their asset, but they are already seated. They also should have declared their assets before they were inducted into office. Even in the Senate, I listened to Senator Dillon saying that, I think it was on Friday or so, that the Senate pro tem was going to do it, and he was also going to follow her lead when they are already seated. So I think this is not a good start for the incoming administration. There was a lot of focus on the outgoing administration, whether they did their exit declarations. And if we expected them to do those exit declarations, then we expect the incoming government to do the entry declarations before they can take office.
Mr. Sia, this is law.
Indeed,
Mr. Boakai, when he was doing a VOA interview, said he was going to declare his asset. He did not say in that interview specifically that he was going to do it prior to taking office, but the law requires that you declare your assets, income, and liabilities prior to taking office. As far as we know today, that didn't happen.
Dennis, and it's reasonable to say that when Boakai said in that VOA interview that he would declare his asset, he actually meant before taking office. He was clear. He referenced the law when he had an interview, and the law is very clear that one must declare before or prior to taking office. So when the then president-elect made that pronouncement during that interview, the handlers were excited about it. They went to every media space and articulated that their guy would be that example. And Mr. Boakai himself has been a little more clear on that issue, that look, we will govern differently. And differently also meant that he needed to declare his asset, something that President Weah did not do. And so when he met different, he was saying, well, Weah did not declare his asset before taking office. I will be different. I will do it. And that's why he said in our interview. And so for Mr. Boakai to knowingly and willfully, break this promise is unbelievable. So we have on day one of Boakai's presidency, we have a major promise broken, and he has slaughtered accountability and transparency on the first day of his presidency. And I'm not going to share any sympathy for any man here or woman here, because we are talking about the future of this country. Boakai has had the greatest opportunity of his lifetime to serve in government. No excuses whatsoever. Mr. Boakai could assign 2 of his handlers to work on this, and he showed that that is done before he could take office. What stopped him from doing that? He broke a major promise, and the whole issue of accountability, now he's not in any moral standing whatsoever to say anything about WIA. Neither can his handlers say anything about WIA when it comes to transparency. He's butchered it on day one and expected that that has to happen.
Thank you. Abi, there's been, from the Ellen government to we are now Boakai, people always say, what's about this one? What's about this? So people in the we are government criticize Ellen government a lot, Ellen government, and then we are got there criticize Ellen a lot. Now the Boakai people and all that is going to be happening, right? So Weir did not declare his asset until like 7 months in his presidency, and even when he declared, he didn't publish it. Now, President Boakai promised to be different, and he was elected based on that we wanted a sharp contract from Weir. Now that, as far as we know, he did not declare his asset, how much do you think that matters?
Like I said, don't like to get into Liberian politics because I don't know too much of the different laws and all that. But I think it does matter because the main thing they talked about, when I wasn't for anybody. I was for Cummings, and I didn't really like the ANC people. So I just kind of was on the fence there. But I think if you're going to come in with the premise that, oh, yes, we're going to be different, and we and his team were doing this, and that, and you ran on that. And that was the reason why a lot of people who weren't for him before, kind of gravitated towards him and left Weir, or when he left the Cummings team, where most of the people I knew was for Cummings, and gravitated towards him, saying he's going to be different than Weir. We're not going to have the same 6 years of the same thing, same old. It's going to be different. It's not going to be any whataboutism. So now that we're here and he hasn't done it yet, it's not a great start, but I'm going to give him some leeway, and hopefully in the next 6 months or so, he can get it done. But I'm hoping that he will, he'll be a little different. Maybe there's something happened that he had to, there's a delay in there. But I think just start off on the right foot and all that to look more presidential, and also to look different, as sharp contrast from Weir's government. I think he should do it as soon as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Collins, do you think this is a big deal or no?
It is. It is a big deal. The issue of public accountability is very crucial to to delivering good governance. And I've always said to many people, personally, my support to Joseph Boakai was it wasn't intended to blind my eyes to the realities of the day, especially when we hold other people accountable. And that's why I appreciate your platform with the kind of question you are asking on this platform, because you see, we in the media, whether we we come and make political analysis, whether it is professional analysis, we have a responsibility to hold public officials accountable by what they see and keep them in check. Mind you, these people are a reflection of the society. Sometimes we forget when politicians come and make promises. The typical Liberian is the culture of accountability is not something that he's used to. So I want to disagree a little bit with Anthony to say Boakai lacks your fall flat, to even criticize other people of accountability or integrity issues. I think it's very harsh. Yes, we should flag it, and if the law provides, in the question of law is not a basis of sentiments. If the law requires that public officials, should declare their asset prior to taking office, and we don't know that much. We don't know whether the president-elect, in the concluding lines of the speech. I know we have the speech. I haven't even taken up time to finish up that 24-page document. We don't know whether the president-elect probably announced that he have declared his assets, or maybe by tomorrow or so he instructed his officers or protocol people to find out the publishers. Man, the Constitution is very clear. Prior to taking office, you want to be very careful. You want to take the oath of office by 12. There's a lot of things. Yeah, the code of conduct.
Yeah.
The Constitution also, in taking office 12, May Day. So it's a lot of things, right? So it's a lot of things where people is a lot on their plate. However, it's a very good question now that we're raising, that we can say to Mr. President-elect that there should be no reason why we should even end the month of January, usher into February without the Boakai administration publishing their asset, making it public record so we can know how much His Excellency is coming to government with. I think it's very important. Mr. Jeremiah Kuhn, we need to know how much he is coming into government with. I think it's very important. So I think it's very harsh. If the law provides for that, yes, over time, the democracy gets mature. The code of conduct, you talk about, it's not a document that's been over 15 years old. Over time, the code of conduct has been rectified. The legislature have made different amendments to it. So yes, the democracy gets mature in terms of holding public officials accountable. So it will be very harsh, to say, yes, one may say, he's starting on a very bad footing. But the truth of the matter, and Dennis and Brother CA, contradictions will emerge. If Boakai is corrupt, if he's incompetent, his limitations will show. So I would not want to nitpick. I just want to focus on the core issues of governance, and we want to show no president should be leader of our country without 30 days you declaring your asset. We should know. So let's give the old man some breathing space. Today it was very tough there for the old man to even physically breathe. So let's give this old man a breathing space. That's what you get, when you have a young man who come to power and extremely corrupt, who want to line his pocket. You leave the masses with no option but to render the country to the elders council. So yeah, we are the elders council at the village square. You know how the elders do things, so we must be flexible here. Let's be flexible.
And we'll come back to that because you talk about he couldn't catch his breath. So I want us to talk about this, what is on everybody's mind that we believe overshadowed, which is what happened, right? And Abby, our health contributor, posted a lot about it. So let's get that out of the way because I don't want it to keep coming back. And I really intentionally didn't want to play the video. For me, it was very sad that this happened to President Boakai that was not anticipated. So a lot of people, and certainly a lot of people blame the speech writers. And I watched your program earlier. You said you have a different view. But before we go to that, let me ask, even though Abby was not on the scene to see exactly what happened, what was the medical condition, people are being speculating, say heat exhaustion. But let's Abby lay that out for us. Abby, I don't know if you talked to any person who was there. What was it like? What really happened, do you think? Did Abby freeze?
I think that might have happened.
It looked
He
like
alerted us that there was a possibility that could happen.
all right. When Abby comes back, then we can talk about that. So, Anthony, you said earlier about the asset declaration. The reason people want JMB to declare asset, is it more of any issue that we may have with him, or is just that a matter of principle?
Then it is a matter of principle, but it's beyond the matter of principle. When we are humans are not keeping our promises, we are setting a dangerous precedent. And I see Darlington is treading this path of making excuses for politicians. I don't know why he chose to do that. No one had his or her finger in Boakai's mouth when he said that. I mean, can this man honor his own promise for God's sake? This is simple. This man, we've been told he is a political kind of claimant, and there's nothing in his closet. So when it comes to asset declaration, he should be the first more so when he promised to do so. And when he has individuals at his disposal that can get this piece of job done for him and he couldn't do it, I mean, then his vice president will not do the same. Can he actually tell any of his ministers now to do so? Someone mentioned the issue of the lawmakers. These are lawmakers in blatant violation of the very law that they passed. And they adopted a resolution that they should declare their asset within a month time and make it public. You're already in violation, and now you are dancing in violation. And who you think you're trying to please here? You have violated the law, period. Whatever you do thereafter does not matter anymore. You already set a bad example. Now, the example you set now has become a precedent. Somebody becoming president tomorrow will say, well, Boakai never declared his asset on day one, I'm going to do it. Where did not declare his asset on day one. So Boakai, who promised the change, is doing the same thing. When do we begin to do the right thing right away as required by law? That's where Darlington is wrong, and he thinks I'm being a little harsh on this man by holding him accountable, at least to honor his own promise. If he can't honor his own promise, is he going to honor the promises we need to keep as citizens demanded by the Constitution? I don't think so.
And Thomas, is this redeemable?
No. I think beyond the issue of you ask a question whether it's an issue of principle, it's an issue of law. This is the law. The law says you declare before. If you declare after, it's like you just finding a way to just make sure you do it, but you are not doing it in compliance with what the law says. And the issue of the code of conduct, the law is not a law in itself just to satisfy the issue of asset declaration. It has linked to the way we manage public finances in the government. So the essence of you declaring is for us to know how much you have, what assets you have before entering the government, so that when you are leaving tomorrow, we are able to track you to see whether what you are leaving government with is commensurate with the salaries that they were paying you. So this is why the law said you should do it before. So how they redeem themselves across the three branches of government, that people who are entering that are not that have not declared their assets and published them, we just encourage them to do it, but they are already in violation of the law. They should have done this before. And for me, the CDC government was removed from power because of incompetence. If the incoming administration is already showing that they are overwhelmed, perhaps it was because of the inauguration, they were so busy, they didn't pay attention to asset declaration. Then where is this expectation that, I mean, the incoming government has so much capacity that they are going to do things? I think these kind of slippages are not good. They shouldn't do other things that are in violation of the law.
And yes, that is violation of the law, right? And to you, this is not redeemable. Should we put that?
What I'm saying is that when you violate the law, you violated the law. You are doing it after the effect. It's just after the fact. Any declaration before, any declaration after they've taken office now, it's after the fact.
And the way the law has no way of penalizing people who don't declare their asset before taking office.
We've seen on the exit declarations, we did see a communication from the LACC where they were saying that folks who were leaving government, there were penalties that they were suggesting that they will ask the Ministry of Finance to withhold their salaries and things like that. We don't know also whether LACC will come out to say, for you who are entering the government, if you can declare your asset, you won't get your salary, and a couple of things that will follow. So I would think that there are penalties that can be applied.
Yeah, but those penalties are not in the law itself. That's what I mean.
You know, if they are not in the law, they will be in some regulations. Not everything goes in the law. There are regulations that help to the implementation of these laws. That's normally how it is done. When a law is drafted, like the public financial management law, there are then public financial management regulations. So it could be that the penalties are in the regulations.
Darlington, the Boakai administration talk about investigation, asset declaration, audit, and all that. Do you think the failure to declare their asset, I mean, the president, the vice president, before taking off, you think that's going to embarrass that drive to hold the we are government accountable with audits and all these things?
I don't think so. I don't think so, Dennis. And
Why not?
let us backpedal a little bit. You said on the show that we don't have much information, whether they declare or they didn't declare. And one thing I want to say to Brother CA, one thing I don't do in my engagements, I don't make excuses for no political leader. Because if we stop making excuses for a leader, we should get prepared to keep making excuses and excuses and excuses. I am saying to you, we don't know whether they have declared their assets or whether they have published their assets. We don't know. Boakai was in flight speaking. We saw they how the program, got disrupted, due to whatever, the Unity Party people are making us to believe. What I'm saying, the law says prior to. Yes, I understand when people violate the law, there are penalties. Should they be held accountable for violating our laws? They should be. But I don't think it derailed the true essence of the fight against corruption. I think that is, nitpicking on the real issues. Boakai and Jeremiah Kun, none of them have received, paid check from the Liberian government, and they are not being paid. So we basically know what they have now. That they are public officials, but they have not have access to state resources. The law says prior to taking office, you should declare as a yes, but we don't have all of the facts. And one thing I don't want us to do on this platform is to speculate, okay? To say whether they did or they didn't. We shouldn't go into that. So when we want to hold public officials accountable, being extremely critical, sometimes we tend to run into trouble. So what I'm suggesting here on this platform is that what we are opting for is to give the Boakai people the benefit of the doubt. Even Brother CA will bear with me. When the CDC people came, other administration, we gave them the benefit of the doubt. Liberians now, like I said, it's a very cogent point you raised about accountability. A lot of us, have gone to bed sleeping on that Joseph Boakai have made this promise that he will declare his assets before taking office. Now it's a good thing that we get to hold Boakai accountable by what he said and remind him and his entourage that they need to declare their assets. This man is in the state process of forming a government. Look, let's be realistic. It's a lot more workload. You have over about 2,000-3,000 people, at least 3,500 people to appoint from the office of the president. There's a lot more workload. Let us give Boakai, a little more time. I'm sure they are concluding their paperwork. The finance people will tell you, they should, yes. Again, these are it's not our constitution does not provide for that. These are secondary sources of law. This in the statute, the legislature passed on it. It was adopted. Yes, it's a legal instrument. So they will have time. Let's give them more time to do that instead of being unnecessarily critical to say, oh, we don't have all of the facts, so we don't want to speak.
All right. Let me understand anything. Are you saying it is a secondary law? It can be violated, and there's no problem for that?
No. I'm not saying that. What is the supreme organic law of the country is the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. Have Joseph Boakai violated any law in the Constitution? Absolutely not. Statutes are adopted by legislature. No, it's not okay because statutes also they are secondary sources of law. I'm a legal student, so I'm informing you now. So statutes are secondary sources of law adopted by legislature. They are binding legal instruments. I'm not saying that people can go ahead violating statutes. So if there is penalty in the law, that will be, prescribed by the LHCC or the GSC for failing to declare your asset as prescribed by the law, they are not above the law. They will be accountable.
And how much time?
If they are meant to pay a fine, maybe because they were 1 day late or 2 days late, but we don't.
How much time do you think we can give them?
It's very. Like I said, you flag this issue. A lot of I think a month is very sufficient for them. I think a month.
Dennis, I would like to get a minute here quickly.
Joseph Boakai have to.
Yeah, you said Mr. Boakai is overweight. Got a whole lot of things to do, so that can wait. And that's how we break the law, right?
I'm not suggesting that the presidency. I'm not suggesting that the presidency is overwhelmed. What I'm saying to you, Dennis, is that when we want to hold, give me a second, brother. See, we want to hold public official accountable. We must be realistic. This man in just few hours taking over the presidency of the country. Yes, we should hold public officials accountable. The issues you're raising, they are very legitimate issues. I think we should give the administration at least a month, to let us know, because the program comes all of the facts.
Give me a minute yet. I will be brave. That time is telling us that we should be realistic. To be realistic is the fact that the law says declare before. And so calling for that declaration, especially when the individual made that promise to the whole world. And this man
do you know what they have?
Darlington,
do you know what they have?
Darlington, I have every reason to believe. I have every reason to believe that they have not. I have every reason to believe that if they have done that, they will have informed us. That is what I want to believe. So it is realistic to say that, look, you promise that you will do so, you should have done so. To not do so is a broken promise, period. The rescue mission here ran on the rule of law, Dennis. It is one of their pillars. I know we Librarian always say pillow. It's one of their pillars. It's there. The rule of law. And one of the things they persecuted the CDC on is the issue of incompetence. They said Samuel 12 was incompetent because he could not submit the budget on time. Budget performance report was never, ever submitted on time. And on those basis, Samuel 12 and the CDC was condemned to be corrupt. And I agree with the Unity Party at the time. This failure is nothing but incompetence. And every librarian should be able to tell the Unity Party that. The Unity Party said for 12 years, so they have experience, they have people. If you cannot declare mere assets of all the time you have, what should we expect from you to do on time? Tell me. This is Joseph Boakai asset we're talking about.
Thank you.
Give us a report of the nation in a year if you can declare an individual's asset.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't want us to keep Abby too long.
I just want to say,
we'll come back to that.
To brother CA.
We'll come back to that, Darlington.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. We don't want to keep our heads on too long.
I think it's important. 30 seconds.
Yeah. You'll come back.
Okay.
We'll come back. Okay. We have a lot of grounds to cover, and we can come back to that. Let me go to Abby on today's incident at the inaugural, where there was some problem. And I said I was not playing the video. I have my friend here say that's censorship, but I think I deserve the right. But Abby, from what you saw, what really happened? I know you were not on the ground, but what does it look like?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right. It looked like he had a heat stroke, but I'm not going to get all technical and all that too, because I finally saw the full video. I was listening to it on my way to work, and then I thought my phone was acting up. But what I just saw tonight and all, I'm a provider, but I'm not his provider. So I have 20 years of being a cardiac nurse. So, and everything that they've been talking about, his background, all that, it looked like, he had a syncopal episode, meaning like he had a temporary loss of consciousness because there was a fall in his blood pressure. So there were multitude of factors, external factors that can happen because somebody has said in another network, "Oh, I fainted before. Everybody faints. It's normal to faint." No, it's not normal to faint. Okay, it's not normal to faint. You can faint external stimuli or internal stimuli. Let's say again, the heat stroke, the weather could be something else is causing it. You got football players, they faint and all that. So many other things that can happen outside of your body. But internally, okay, there's a fever. You can also have some heart issues. I don't know his medical history and all that, but combined with that and his age and everything and standing there wasn't, I saw people fainting themselves and wiping down sweat and all. So he's standing there. I think they handed him a bottle of water and he didn't drink it. That was one of the errors also, because that would have cooled him down and he didn't drink it. And I think they went back to him again and kind of offered when he started slurring his words. So it could have been multiple things and all that. So if I was his provider, I mean, taking away all the formal part and say he woke up and he was able to talk again. Definitely right after that, he's going to the hospital. Okay, because we want to make sure that, and we'll be doing a CAT scan, eventually do an MRI, it's a test where you do they bring imaging of the head to make sure nothing else happened, that he didn't, like a blood clot or anything that happened to him, because it did look very scary. And again, like I said, fainting is not something, that's normal. So if that happens to anybody out there, you want to tell your doctor about it so they can do more testing. Maybe, who knows, his blood, did they do blood work in him recently? He may have had electrolyte imbalance, like they say, like his potassium, chloride, everything, all those chemicals that's supposed to keep your body normal, keep your heart normal. Maybe there's imbalance there. And just the fact that he was standing there in that heat, he's like, what, 81-year-old? I'm thinking on our president now over here. And you can't do that to an elderly person, a regular person. You can't do that to them. And so just imagine you had him sitting there and he was basically just looking down at I think he lifted his eyes a couple of times, but just looking straight down. When you stand somewhere, you're standing up in a position and you're looking straight down for a long period of time, that can also lead to that too. I mean, your blood pressure. So his age, the weather, and just a poor planning, like I said, how can you have something like that in an open area? You don't do that. Okay. It's like when I went to the meeting over here, of course, it's like cold during our inauguration, but everything was prepared. Everything, you had the ambulances, you had everything there, the warming buses and all that for anybody who was in the crowd and all that. And everything was going to the president. Everything was prepared. You should have had the ambulance. You should have had the paramedics waiting to go. Does the president have a health team with him at all times?
He should.
Anybody knows that?
Yeah, but Abby, before we go into that,
he's supposed to. He's the president. He's supposed literally everywhere he goes. He's supposed to have an ambulance with him.
Yeah, but Abby, I saw before that happened, he wiped his face from the sweat like 2 or 3 times. Yes. And then he started coughing. Was that a sign of anything?
That was a sign when he first coughed, because I was listening and he coughed. I said, okay, wait a second. Where's the water? Drying his throat. His throat was already drying up and all that. I mean, you could see the people. I mean, half of the women there, all their makeup was gone because they were just wiping their face and all. Sorry, I got this background here, but they should have made sure that he had enough. I mean, cooler, like one of those big general cooling fans for everybody that can also put out water to keep people, hydrated. They should have made sure that his the paramedics are right there at all times. And I mean, 2 medical people sitting not too far from him. I mean, he was going down, he was slurring his words, and he just kept going and going and going. And I know, as a man, you want to and also as a president, you want to project that image of strength. Okay. Like, I don't want them thinking that I'm weak if I keep drinking or if I try to sit down, but then his planner should have known that this man's elderly. Okay. And whatever his health reason is or whatever, that's something for another day. They shouldn't have made that speech that long. And at the same time, he should have known that to himself. But at the same time, all the different factors that came into play, the weather, where are the canopies? I mean, he should have been covered up. Everybody who was sitting in the executive branch should have been covered up, not sitting there in the, blaring sun. And then when he started passing out, I didn't see any medical person get up. People said there was like 5 doctors there. I'm like, were the doctors that were assigned to him? It's like that. It was embarrassing on the national level, international level. That was embarrassing. It was a very poor planning. And then when I see all these people who don't know anything about, because everybody thinks that health people go to Google University, so they're saying there and putting things up and saying things. It's like you're just putting out false information for the public. And it's not just for President Boakai. It's for anybody else. Because I do my show, I try to make it, like I said, I teach to like a regular, bigger audience, and also to a Liberian audience to make it relevant culturally. Because we come from a country where it's either God's will or witchcraft. All right. So it's like I try to teach people preventative. It's like family nurse practitioner, or if I'm in primary care and all that, I try to prevent these things. Why didn't they prevent all these things? All the possibilities that could have happened. Why didn't they prevent it? I don't get it. We always like to be reactive. Healthcare is proactive. Majority of healthcare is proactive. Why weren't they like that all this time?
Right. So Abby, after this now, what is and I know he was not taken to the hospital. What will people be checking for which you want to send him to the hospital?
I will, like I said, I'll be checking his labs. Okay, because I want to make sure that his electrolytes and everything are fine. Make sure, so we'll be doing like his basic metabolic profile or comprehensive metabolic profile. So checking his liver, his kidney numbers and all that. And I'll be checking his CBC complete blood count. We'll be checking to make sure he didn't have any kind of infection going on. He wasn't anemic. How Liberian people can say low blood, making sure he didn't have any low blood, because you can also faint from that. especially for women also out there. If you're still seeing your period and all, most of the time you're anemic because you have low blood from like monthly menstrues and all that. So I'll be checking to make sure he's not anemic. We also, again, like I said, we'll do a CAT scan. I don't know if they have, I'm sure they got a CAT scan over there. It's a big machine where you put you in and they test that and make sure there's no initial bleeding, nothing there. They don't see any mass that would indicate cancer or anything else. And then like the next day we can do the MRI. That's the one where it's like the little thing where you go, it almost look like a coffin. You go in there and it like really is more definitive than the CAT scan, because the CAT scan will show right away if there's any kind of bleeding or any kind of blood clot, and the MRI will show us more, like say if he had a stroke or anything else that would have led to it. Okay, so all those things will be done, make sure that he's fine, because he's going to be president for the next 6 years. So you want to make sure that he's healthy. Don't want to just say, oh yeah, because the speech was too long. Oh yeah, because it was the heat. Yes, those all play part into all of that, but at the same time, you want to make sure that he is healthy. Otherwise, taking all those other multitude of factors away.
Thank you. Anyone has any question for Abby? Because when this thing happened, I saw men, maybe 5 or 6 surrounding him, and they started fanning with paper. And I'm like,
I just want Abby to warn. I think she made a very salient point. I just want her to warn, African traditional people, especially our old people. Sometimes we want to play tough. When you have these kinds of episodes, you must be monitored. I see some of our people who support the president, like I do, to say, oh, the papi okay because he met with the president of Ghana. That is not a measure that you use to say that the president is okay. You say a doctor declared him okay. Well, I mean, I'm not a medical person, but again, people sometimes want to show, for the camera that they are okay. We are more concerned about the health and safety of His Excellency the President, because the Liberian people voted for this president, and he's charged with the responsibility to deliver on his promises. So the people should be concerned. Just advise. Sometimes we even we young people won't play tough. They say go do your monthly checkup. People don't even want to go do monthly checkup. Anybody can get sick. Young, regardless. Just inform us more, please.
For those of you who are not members of Abby Tyler's Healthy Living page, the information is right on this side there. Just look it up. I just did a whole show on why you should get your annual visit. Okay, I talked about everything, knowing your family history and all that. Anybody can get sick. And then also when you're at a higher risk, I always talk about people who are average risk for certain diseases and also who are higher risk. But anything can happen. You cannot have any family history, and that can also happen. And again, like I said, you're sitting there, you want to seem presidential, and his handlers all through the campaign, it was like the main thing people kept saying, that he was sick. And then, you wanted to make sure that he, wanted to project that strength there. But, I would say he's fine. Okay, now he's stable, but I still think he needs to go get checked. Definitely needs to go get checked, because, I mean, look at the person standing next to him right now. Where's the medical person that's supposed to be like within inches of him right now? Where's the medical person? I saw when he starts slurring words, there goes the ex-president or former president. I mean, you could tell he was concerned as well. So where are the medical people? You're supposed to have, like I said, the president's supposed to travel with an ambulance at all times. You have the paramedics in there. You have a nurse or provide an NPPA doctor, just because he's supposed to be traveling with like medications and oxygen and all of that right away. They should have been putting oxygen on him and all. I understand, again, like I said, it's the president. You don't want him looking like he's weak or he's sick and all that. But the most important thing is to make sure that he's well at that moment. And I was sitting there I'm like yelling at the screen, like, where's everybody else? Where's the oxygen? And then the 10 men were standing around him, like blocking all the oxygen anyways that was coming to him. So it was just poorly planned. And, and that's the thing about Liberian people, when you tell them, no, you want to do things to prevent certain things, and then they tell you, oh, well, just pray to God, when maybe God would not let that happen. God would not let it happen. It didn't happen before, and this and that. And it's just, and I know people might say, oh, you're being harsh with this person, but at the same time, like I always tell my husband, always say, like, I said, oh, I want to go back to Liberia and do certain things. And I think I said, well, it's my health too, because if I go there and something happens to me, what's going to happen? Wanting to like pour water on you and do this. It was just it was like really embarrassing watching it today.
Should this be more concerning because of his age compared to, say, if he were much younger? I ask the question because there is a much younger person was reported who too has similar experience. I don't know if it is true. This information has not been verified. They said this person died, and there are accounts of other people who have similar experience from because of the heat. The question is, should Waka's situation be more concerning because of the age or not?
Yes, it could be. Yes, based on his age and all that, it could be should be more concerning because as a practitioner, all that when we take care of patients who are elderly, even when we the kind of medications that we order for patients are elderly. Let's say if I order a medication for you for pain, Anthony, you can take that pain medication and you take away the pain. You get up and move around and doing everything. Somebody who's older, I may not order the same dosage for that person because it takes a little while. The body has slowed down, so it takes a little while for that body for that medication to get out of the body. It could cause some confusion for them, and because it causes some confusion for them, at the same time, it takes forever to get out of the body. It could also be a higher risk for falls and so many different things. There's something called the Beers criteria. It tells us people who are older the kind of medications that we're supposed to order for older people and the kind of care that we're supposed to provide to older people and the kind of things, the precautions that we have to watch out for older people. Okay, so somebody who's younger, yes, at the same time, they can have those issues. But as you get older, our care for elderly people is different. So yes, for him, that is the reason why I said they were so poorly planned because you're taking care of somebody who's in the 80s or I think 79, 80. What's his age? I keep getting it wrong. And how can you sit there? You had nurses there, you had people in his team, family members, and people
Right.
who are going to be on his health team. Why didn't they think of that? Why would you have this older man, sitting in the heat like that for such a long time? And those people who were singing, the choir, I mean, they must have sung like 90 songs before the program started.
I even thought there was a concert we're witnessing now.
Yeah, and it's like when I went to the
So
inauguration twice for Obama, we were
So,
done like
hold on,
within
Anthony,
an hour.
because I want Abby to say a last final word so that we can go to other things. Because if those who are handling the president, if you want more information, please watch Abby Tyler Healthy Living. It's every Tuesday at 7:30, or you
7 o'clock.
at 7, not 7:30, at 7, or you drop a line, and we can talk more on that. So uh, Abby, let's get your conclusion or final comments on this episode that happened today, and what should we even be looking out for? I was even saying before the show, you hardly hear the temperature being announced in Liberia or anything, right? And everybody has a cell phone now. You can go to the weather channel. At least tell the people, say today is 80 degrees Fahrenheit or something. Let people start hearing about how hot it is in a day, even if they don't have to, maybe they can take some precaution. When I
Yes.
moved to Georgia, people started announcing pollen count. I didn't know that. I would go out and I was inhaling all this pollen. And so anytime the pollen count is announced, then you are very careful. I was using mask way before COVID because of pollens. Abby, so you're closing on this issue.
I just want to say, as for us, for the longest time, I've always talked about healthcare in Liberia. I even told people when I were in Liberia, we didn't have I never saw like a primary care doctor, never did. We didn't dentist, all those different things. We had a lady who worked at JFK, was my mom's nurse, and she took care of the entire community. I don't know how she got all the supplies and all that, but that's neither here or there because she had to do what she had to do to keep us safe. And it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. She took care of the whole neighborhood and all. So it's important. Even when I wrote my admission letter into Drexel and all, we had to write about. I even wrote about her. So that for as long as I can remember, I've thought about healthcare in Liberia. So it's 2024. All those who are going to be taking care of Mr. Boycott and all that too. And, I even have my nice little poster ready to congratulate him. I finally put it up on my page, and then everything got scattered up today. So please, I beg you, those of you who are going to be taking care of this man, I know that, you want to project an image of strength and everything, but you have to take care of him in the way he's supposed to be taken care of. He is the president. He is the president. Okay. People first, our Liberian people would say, hey, the papa, so even if anything happens to him, that's okay. We're there for him. We'll still pray for him. So don't feel bad that if he doesn't feel well that you have to hide it from anybody. Let him go get checked and all that too, and he'll be fine. He'll be back to doing what he's supposed to do. Take good care of him and be prepared. Have the health team available at all times. Look at the weather. Look at the factors that are going to affect somebody who is elderly. Okay, you don't have like a 16-year-old or 25-year-old president. Even then, you still have to do checkup for a president. And I was, let him go to bring the best of doctors, NPs, PAs, nurses, bring the best health team to be with him at all time and try as much as possible to be prepared. Okay, you can't be reactive all the time. And this should go for the entire healthcare system in Liberia. It's 2024. We're starting a new president. We're starting a new police, people. Okay, let's start this a little different. Let's do things a little differently. We can always keep doing things the Liberian way. And because something turned out okay, so we're like, oh, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. And please, people, please get your health information from somebody who's a health practitioner. Don't just be going on Google or just be listening to people on Facebook, somebody telling you people faint all the time. No, if you're fainting all the time, you better go get checked. There's something more serious going on. Okay?
Thank you. Sam Waller was saying it was not about protecting strength. They didn't know what to do and they failed to anticipate. And I think
that's even worse.
Yeah.
That's even worse because they went to school to be medical professionals. That's even worse. Okay, because and it is about projecting strength, because I remember doing a campaign and whenever somebody said, oh my God, man, Boakai's not well, and then it was like this barrage of posts saying, yes, he's strong, yes, he's fine, he's gonna live long, everything, God would not let that happen, he's strong, he's strong, he's strong. Both of what that Sam Waller just said, it's like worse. Okay, because they should have known what to do. How can you call yourself like a medical person and somebody's passing out and you don't know what to do? How can you say that? All those people could have been out of the way. So please, people, you went to school. I don't know where you guys went to school, whether you went to school here, over there, whatever it is, you know the basics of healthcare. You know that. Please, 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 let's do something different this time. Let's not do things the Liberian way this time around. This man has, worked so hard to be in the government, to be president and all. Y'all work hard to get him there. Keep him safe and healthy. Okay. And if there's anything, be transparent. And also, I want to say there should be an investigation. Don't just say, oh, yeah, the paper fine, everything fine, everything okay, blah, blah, blah. There should be an investigation. The heads must roll. Okay. Somebody needs to be fired or severely disciplined, because you can't do this. That's like a total embarrassment on the world stage. You can't do that. Let be the investigation, come out with the findings, be transparent, and move forward with this. Okay. And then, again, watch Abby Tyler's Healthy Living. I'm live Tuesday at 7:00 and I do my daily videos. So please click like and follow. Love you all. Thank you. I have to go do my practice. I got charged to finish up.
Thank you. Thank you, Happy. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. All right. Darlington, you have 30 seconds to respond to asset declaration. That will be the final, and we move to the next. All right, you forgot. So
we already talked about this. I think.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
I just wanted to say that. No. Let me end on the 30 seconds. I just want to say that the issue of asset declaration is not a question of excuses or making excuses for the new administration. However, it's good that you guys are raising it, and we hope that these are things in the upcoming days that will raise with the upcoming administration. But to just uprightly dismiss them on the fight against corruption, I think that's unfair to the new administration. They have just taken over today, and we hopefully will give them time to declare their assets. This will not be like the CDC, where we have to go 1 year into Mr. We are administration making noise for he to declare his asset, and we didn't even know, we didn't even review those documents. Right. So they never published it. So again,
talking about taking over today, let's look at something came up today, and that he made 5 appointments. It was on an official letterhead, so I think it's official. Right? So there were 5 appointments that were made. You see, the President of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Joseph Newman Boakai, has nominated the following officials in government pending Senate confirmation. Mr. Boakai Kamara, Minister of Finance and Development Planning. Mr. Sylvester M. Grisby, Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. Mr. Sam Kofi Woos, National Security Advisor. Mr. Gregory Coleman, Inspector General, Liberia National Police. Mr. Sam Gay, Director of the Executive Protective Service. Those were the 5. Prior to getting this evening, I was afraid. I said, well, we are ending the day. Would there be just 2 persons in the executive branch of government to do this? Mr. Kanye, what's your reaction to that list? And let me mention that all of them they work with President Boakai in the Ellen Boakai government. So, and for me personally, we've been hearing those names. Various lists have come up, and we've seen those names on here and there. Thomas, what's your reaction to that list?
Um, I think, like you said, all of these names have been on the different lists that have been circulated, that have been coming out. So none of it is really surprising. Um, we knew for sure, we had heard the news that
Gregory.
Anthony Kofi Woods, for instance, had decided not to enter the cabinet to take a ministerial position, but had decided that he would settle for an advisory role to be an advisor to the president. And I didn't know for sure it was going to be national security advisor, but the position he eventually has been appointed to, it doesn't surprise me because that came up. The issue of Gregory was always out there. It was either going to be him or it was going to be A.B. Krumar. Sam Gay was always around because these are people in the security sector. So none of it really surprises me. Boema Kamara, his name was always there with other people. So he got the pick. It really doesn't surprise me a lot. I've been listening since the list came out, listening to maybe what is on social media, what is on other platforms. One of the criticisms is that these are all people who served in the previous administration of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, and therefore it's like just bringing old people back to government. And the other argument is that yes, they were there, but they are competent. Perhaps they don't have any kind of records that you can point to say when they were in that government, this is what they did. And there's also this issue with Boema, that much of his career has been from the central bank to the Ministry of Finance. So one of the line of argument that I listened to was that, okay, he doesn't really come with a lot of experience on development planning because the Ministry of Finance is now the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, you know. So it's not only to develop the budget and implement the budget. You will have to program development and plan it from that Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. So from the central bank to the Ministry of Finance, okay, they say he doesn't have a lot of experience in that area. But what I would say about that role is that it will always be very difficult to get one person that knows everything at that ministry, because you have the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, you have a Deputy Minister for Budget and Development Planning, you have a Deputy Minister for Economic Management, you have a Deputy for Fiscal Affairs. So if the minister does not know development planning or he's not very vast in tax policy, then for me, I will be looking at what the composition of the team is. Who are the different deputy ministers? If those deputy ministers are very competent and they know their technical stuff, then they can always support the minister because the minister is not going to do everything.
But Tom, did it surprise you that you didn't see any fresh face, that there was nothing out of this world, because they kind of changed that he represent. So we're expecting to see maybe someone who maybe was never in the government. Was that a surprise?
I mean, to me, it doesn't, because the other thing is that the Unity Party campaign on this platform that the George Weah government was incompetent, right? Yes. So the change is that we are going to bring competent people. If you always listen to President Boakai, we are going to bring people who can do the job from day one. I'm not saying you can bring a new person to do the job. You could bring new people who are working maybe in the diaspora in other places who are doing similar work. But if you are going to bring people who can do the job from day one, then of course somebody needs to bring that sectoral experience. So it doesn't really surprise me a lot that there's no new person. I do know that there will be some new faces at the deputy ministerial level, at the assistant ministerial level, because you have to blend the old folks with the young people that are coming up. If you don't do it, there's going to be a resistance. But this argument that, okay, they were just coming from the old government, is just something I'm saying that, I mean, it's not something which is just bad simply because they work in the previous government.
Darlington, I mean, we were expecting maybe like someone said, well, why we got the first 5 years, no female, and there is no surprise, no strange face. Some call it old wine in new bottles. You share that view?
I think what is important is that no, I don't share that view. I think what is important is that qualified and competent Liberian citizens, should be placed into, positions of trust. And just because somebody worked for the Salif administration, we can't draw a parallel line to say, because there were contradictions in the Salif administration, that means that Joseph Boakai cannot go in there and bring out some of the good brothers. Like look at the 5 individuals. This whole argument about, women on the list. Yes, tomorrow there will be more names, and in upcoming days there will be more names. Hopefully qualify and prepare Liberian women can occupy those roles. But the 5, I don't know much about, Sam Gay. I know he used to be at the EPS, for he held the position. That means he comes, he brings to bear some level of understanding. The Minister of Finance, with the name that have been lingering in the corridors, the names. We heard Buema Kamara, we heard, Dr. Antoine Sai. And I told somebody when they mentioned Antoine Sai, I said, I don't think our country, we have money, to finance, to pay her, because when you want to attract people with the requisite competence, Antoine Sai is not interested in, what she will go on a job to get. She's basically going to tell you, these are policy-driven solutions that will come in to help your country, and you must pay me. So I don't think, we have the Boakai administration, had the resources to pay woman like Dr. Antoine Sai, except she want to retire or maybe want to do charitable work. That's something that's very far from the person she is. Greg Coleman, yes. I mean, A.B. Kroma and Greg, they've been, 4-2 runners. I mean, Greg come with deep understanding. He's been director of police. He's very, smart brother, been around for some time. So he can deliver on that. A lot of people have interacted with Greg. You said when he was 100 rather. I mean, I've been knowing Greg when he was 107, from 107, 104, even up to 100. So he have just basically worked through the ranks and file. He's a Kennedy School of Government trained. So I don't doubt his expertise in terms of, how he intends to institute, police reform. Some like Kofi Woods. Some of them may say, but why the veteran lawyer, is not going into prosecution or probably at the Ministry of Justice or anywhere legal, going to the National Security Agency to be the chairperson of the Joint Security Council and brief the president. National Security Advisor meets the president every morning and provides security briefings on, the security of the state. I think it's very important. Kofi Woods cut across youth and student movement. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows how to interact with the comrades. So yes, there are a lot more work on his hands. I think as those very 5 people, extremely, great pick. I know Ambassador Sylvester Grisby. I've had interaction with him. Very humble man who went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a cadet. Under when Barcott Matthews himself was cadet at the Foreign Ministry.
How
so
old you think
Grisby
he is
Ben.
now? How old
Ambassador
you think?
Grisby?
Yeah. About.
Grisby should be about. I'll put Grisby in his early 60s. He's not anybody in his early 60s.
Yeah.
Early 60s.
You sure he's JMB's classmate from CWA?
So that's what I was looking at, right?
Joseph Boakai, he means Joseph Boakai classmate. Does not determine his age.
Maybe early 70s, but not 60s. And that's what I was. That's the problem I was having. 60 is not far anymore.
I think it's your sisters. Man, Joseph Boakai, when the Boakai story is told, Joseph Boakai remind you that he started school late. So just because Ambassador Grisby and Ambassador Boakai, they were classmates, that it cannot equate their ages. But I know Grisby is very. I interacted with the old man in 2015. He is early 60s.
All right. But look at Alexander Cummings. He was junior to Boakai, but still. But anyway, let's leave that. I just thought for a chief of staff were going to be a younger person, because again, like what happened today, you can have two grandparents.
With depth. One of the things I think Joseph Boakai that attracted Boakai to Ambassador Grisby, he comes to governance with that level of professionalism. He's been at the foreign ministry. He's a diplomat, a seasoned diplomat from a cadet at the foreign ministry.
I don't doubt
he is way through the ranks and far. So Grisby did not just get there by accident of history. He's been around. He's always been around. Very
I get that. I was just looking for a little more younger and vibrant person. We don't want two grandpas
But you
being.
think, Dennis,
But let's
Dennis,
leave it at
if people
that.
put
Let me go to CA.
it
Mr. CA,
in a way, they say apples do not fall so far from the tree.
yeah. I'm not asking. I'm not doing this so that you can defend it. I'm only saying. I'm only sharing an opinion. Mr. CA, somebody told me saying like, bro, we always love to look backwards, right? All our good days are behind. All the time, LU or LU. When JFK was this. So every time there's a previous government, is that government we miss, right? And the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, we can agree, did better than the We Are government, but it was not all that the best. So going there to has your pool of recruitment is that a little concerning also?
And then it is concerning that it is almost like a belief system now in Liberia that, the past is our best, and we cannot find our best in the future. And I think if we continue to tread that path, we'll not hit the future. Because of course our future must be better, than our past. But this is how it's beginning to look now. Look, the names we saw, from the get-go, one can say, well, this is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration 2.0. All the individuals work in the Ellen administration. I have said that for academic qualification and sometime with bureaucrats who occupy public offices in the past coming to this government, that will not be an issue. That's what Boakai knows. He has been in government. I know there's a debate about the time that, he has been in government 40 years. My GM brother, George Lobo, said that's 25 years. So Dennis, Boakai has been in government that long. So it is obvious that he will go for people who have been in government. That is what we are seeing. To not have seen a single female in the first list, even though this is way too early, I think you will have more than 2,000 people to appoint, but you want to diversify it. You want to send out a signal. 5%, not a single female. I'm sure there are female they plan to, or he planned to nominate. Maybe he could have included at least one to diversify the list. But again, on that one, I'll caught in a slide that he has, a lot of people to appoint. So it is obvious that we will see the names of females in subsequent appointments. But look, then there's my thing has been about implementation. Daniel, you told the story the other day. Maybe I shouldn't go to that story, right? It's not good enough to say, well, this person is not corrupt, right? It is not enough. You may not steal any money. You should not be stealing money in the first place. But the reason you should come to public service is to what? Serve, change life, improve our conditions, and develop the country. It is not about having the academic credentials and, talking nicely, like Samuel 12 will talk and saying all the good things and speaking all the good English, and then 6 years over, the people in Negro Town still living in that swamp, the people in West Point still living in that slum. And then we have the people in Claratown still living in that swamp. I mean, then what good is said of this competence and this experience, these credentials that you have? So I will argue that our problem has never been the fact that, maybe we have not had competent people or qualified people. We have always had. Ellen was qualified. She had competent people and qualified people in her administration. The massive support that government received, they left without the RIA road being done, and it became a death trap. They left with Tottenham High School in the heart of the city, left dilapidated and leaking and not even painted. 12 years. So what kind of competence is that? That competence does not make any sense to me. So look, we will see the so-called competence, we will see the so-called qualification, but at the end of the day, my yardstick would be, what have you changed with your competence and your education?
And that's a beautiful point. And I've just confirmed that Mr. Grisby is in his 70s. So I knew it couldn't be 60s because I
No.
know how old I am and I know
Yeah.
where I was when Grisby was all the way up there.
Darlington is the fan of the progressive, so he has a way of being a little
I
more
don't think Grisby is
sympathetic.
even progressive. I don't think so. But here's
But,
the thing.
Dennis, can I just make a quick point?
Yeah, I want to ask you this question while you make your point, Thomas.
No,
So there are a lot of things that
I,
went
I
wrong.
think yeah,
Hold on,
before
Darlington. Hold on, Darlington. We'll come to you. In the Ellen government, right? And so, and I will pick on Grisby because he was superintendent of my county, right? 70-year-old, the chief of staff of an 80-year-old. You tell me, right? I want to see in that first group, and I'm not against the experience, the old people from old government, but for God's sake, with the enthusiasm and with coming from we are where he brought very young people in government. I think one of the contrasts could be you can bring competent young people, competent fresh people, because integrity and experience alone they are not enough now. We need innovation. If the yardstick is to just move us, just keep it as it is. Someone gave me a story about the guy Jesus told a story about he left the talent with. One of them had integrity, he had experience, and he was not corrupt. So he kept his talent. He said, the same thing you give me, give it back right as it is. He didn't do anything wrong because he kept what was given to him. He was competent, he had integrity, he couldn't steal. But Jesus, in his infinite wisdom, said that was not the way to go. You needed people to trade the talents. So we need people to innovate, not just to keep the place as it was. And going back to the Ellen time, look at the whole Zogo situation, armed robbery. These things started, they took on full-fledged during the Ellen presidency. That problem has compounded, has not been solved. You are giving us back Gregory. You are giving us back Boyman. These are competent people. But the finance ministry should be more than just Susupa or Susuma. That development planning piece has not been given much attention. Tom, and with this stage set, can we say this is what we're going to see for the rest of the cabinet?
Well, the point I wanted to make is that maybe there's a parallel that we can draw. Between Joe Boakai and the Joe Biden administration, for instance, it appears, when a vice president eventually becomes a president, you will see some of those people, like Anthony said, some of the people who he worked with actually coming back to government, because when President Biden won, we saw Jenny Yellen coming back. In some instances, they come back and they just switch position, you know. We saw John Kerry and every one of them are coming back to government. That could also be the case. But I think what is critical is the person who eventually becomes the captain on the ship. You will be able to drive the team to make sure that the change that you promise the people can actually be delivered on. So it doesn't necessarily mean that for the fact that these people are coming from a previous government, they are coming to do exactly what they did. And on the issue of whether we care for people to be corrupt or not, we have to care because we are in a country where corruption is almost like an acceptable norm. So people who did not do it, who even served for a day in government and did not get corrupt, I think we need to celebrate them. Because everyone else, look at all of the sanctions that are wasted around. It's a major issue. So why these people are coming back, one, their competence to be able to do the job. Two is their record. So I think these are things that we need to pay attention to. The issue of the development planning, I spoke about it earlier. I've seen a lot of conversation around it. People are even going to the degree that Boima has. Okay, his degree is in development economics. I checked today, his degree is actually in applied economics with a focus on financial economics, which is more like a central bank related stuff. But like I'm saying, you might not have a finance minister that that knows everything. You can't have more than 3-4 degrees, you alone, right? You can only have but few. So I think for me, I'm looking forward to who's going to be the deputy minister. I think the deputy minister that was in that role has not done a lot of good work on the development planning side. The Deputy Minister for Budget and Development Planning has been exclusively focused on budget issues. And the problem we have in that country is that people feel that planning is all about the National Development Plan. So once you develop the PADP, then you are done with planning for the next 5 years. But no, there are sectoral plans in the forest sector, in the road sector. All of these things will have to be planned. So I think I'm looking forward to the whole team before I can really start to say whether it's a team that can deliver on development planning and whether there's a team that can do well. The other thing is that the Ministry of Finance cannot do all of the planning because we have specialized agencies. You have the FDA in the forest sector. You have the land authority in the land sector. So the Ministry of Finance is to drive that process so that you can draw out from all of the technicians in the other team to bring them on board. On the issue of Honorable Gracefield, for the Minister of State and Presidential Affairs, I think it's often someone that is close to the president trusts and all of that. So I think that's somebody JMB went to. Like I said, there will be other young people that will come in government. I'm sure it's going to be mixed. So let me just finish.
He's old, really. He's old for that role to manage another old man. Let's be honest. There's nothing agency about this here. You know, someone like
when you say like that, then they will say that agency because old man managing old man.
Two grandpa, you know, come on. Kofi would have been better in that role, right? Little younger, but
we see. I mean, we see a lot of young people coming. If they don't come, they will fight. They will fight.
Oh, all right. I want us to go to the program itself so we can talk about the speech. I mean, the program, we already talked about it. The program itself was too long and very unnecessary stuff. The singing was too much. I thought it was a concert. And in fact, when I look at the programs, I look at the program for the day, they brought even the poet, my professor who read the poem, they brought her, she was supposed to come after JMB's speech. I mean, who does that? There are guys singing solo. All these things made the program unnecessarily long. But I want us to concentrate on his speech. And they could have brought in fans, you know, and microphone was not working. That was a total disaster. You couldn't even get a lapel, something, just a cordless mic to clip to the air. I mean, we didn't hear them say those words. We couldn't hear them because the microphone was not working. I mean, what is that? That was very bad. But let's look at the speech itself. And I want to pick up, the speech was long, I think 16 pages. That was not necessary. But there are a few things that I pick up from the speech that I want to share. First, he went into this long history of Congo country divide or elite this. That was not necessary. I think we should be able to build on something now and move forward. That history was not necessary. And unless any of you disagree with me so far. I wanted to point out a few things in the speech, but I've said a lot.
On the issue of the history, I think Liberia, what Liberia is today is the product of its history. It was necessary, but overly doing it, I think, became a problem. Because it is still part of, the problem is still part of where we've come from. The point he was making that, I mean, when the hegemony went away, we just have this hegemony of a group of people will just take power and just exploit the other people, which was very important. But I agree with you. Those things could have been said in one line, in two lines, rather than just rewriting the entire history.
Especially when he was part of that history, right? That's what made it awful. But one thing that was that I saw, let me put this on the screen and read, and I'll tell you what you make of it.
I hope you're saying not reading the whole speech.
No. He said, I began my quest for the presidency because something seemed wrong with us Liberians and the leadership of our country. Rather than the positive, we were accentuating the negatives about our country and about each other. We were initiating false starts, building on poor foundations. We were deepening our differences, creating new social fault lines. Inclusive and accountable government was at an all-time low. We created a culture of unfinished business, engaged in ad hoc undertakings, making this behavior the new normal. We were cavalier about the rule of law. We lowered standards in many domains of our common life as a people. we seem to have lost our way, lost hope. Let us now and then there's a paragraph in there that he went to, let us now recalibrate, let us restore the years the locusts have eaten by accentuating the positive about our country and about our fellow citizens. As we think, love, and build Liberia, let us take this state of mind to the business of national healing and reconciliation. That, Mr. Collins, how you respond to that? Especially Mr. Boakai has been there for 12 years. We are 6 years. So when he started to pin that picture, who you think he was talking to? Mr. Collins.
Well, I don't want to single out a particular person, but I want to agree with Cannon. You know, I think inaugural speeches, especially by a country, you want to, as you know, taking over, you want to just get brief historical synopsis of the state that you are taking over, what divided us as a country, what now can unite us. And I think he did that. But you know, he went too much into the historicity, and truthfully, so the speech was just unnecessarily long. Boakai was never elected on the basis of giving long speeches. The people are not so impressed by that. They trusted him based on the mantra of integrity that he campaigned on, his service in government where he worked, and then at bring point trusted him with the country. So to have the president the president now to go through a 24-page document on a squashing son, it was just unfortunate. It was just so unfortunate. If I throughout the speech had a lot of meat, but I don't know the speech writer probably they did very poor literature work, to be honest. At some point in time in the speech, you didn't even listen to the excitement from the crowd. You know, inaugural speech is supposed to be, exciting, reviving the hope of the people, what they should expect in the upcoming days. And I think the president attempted to do that where he said, there will not be business as usual. That's renewing the people hope. The fight about corruption and talking about there will not be no green Liberia or red Liberia, but partisanship is over. I think these are, takeaway that we can take from His Excellency the President. I think that's very important.
I'm coming to that. That part that was throwing that I thought was throwing too much jabs to President Weah. That's the one I just read. That's the one I want you to comment on.
No,
so I mean, when did the locusts eat this?
These are normal political power play. When presidents come, even President Weah, there are times he addressed the legislature, he threw jabs at his opposition. So I mean, mind you, Joseph Boakai is now the Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Monrovia. He's a political man too. He had to stimulate his political base. Yes, was it a fact that the Weah administration was extremely corrupt? Yes, evident by these, multiples and numerous U.S. sanctions for financial improprieties. How Mr. Weah acquired ill-gotten wealth at the expense of our state resources. His chief of staff McGill, to where all of them, the likes of Koji. I'm not saying these things. The Americans, different financial intelligence unit have reported these things. Principle upon that they are now facing sanctions. So was it okay for President Boakai to, reaffirm this, to echo these issues in his speech? Yes. So that we can warn the incoming officials in government that no matter who you are, whether you deputy minister, you minister proper, you should not see public office as a place where you will go in and steal. So it's important to remind them. So I would not consider it like he's throwing jabs. If you are giving that stage of President Weah, he probably could have said worst. President Weah, in fact, is noted for throwing these kinds of jabs. In fact, the crew in President Weah will not just help him. He will say some things. So it's okay. These are normal political power play.
Mr. Sia, he said, let us now recalibrate, let us restore the years the locusts have eaten. When did the locusts eat these years? The 12 years or we are 6 years?
I think the locusts have been busy eating us off, especially during the time Mr. Boakai was vice president of our country. And Mr. Boakai also served in previous administrations. And the locusts were also at work, eating so many years and eating away the future of young Liberians. And so for him to make the point, I would not say he was only picking at Weah. He was talking about what has been a systemic of failures on the part of government in the past and most so the WIA administration that they, were very critical of. But then I will pivot to a line you read there. There was Mr. Boakai talking about we have been, cavalier about the rule of law. Come on, Mr. Boakai. I mean, you could not declare your asset. I mean, what you said, you feel right there. And, and he's also talking about false start. He started us here on a very false note. I will declare my assets. We will be transparent. We will be about accountability. We will be about the rule of law. On day one, he failed. After making a promise to the whole world that this is what I will do to set the tone, to set the pace, to be an example on day one. And on day one, he couldn't be an example. He talked about inclusion. On the first lay, not a single female. Even though I maintain he has time, but on the first day, you forgot about the woman? Come on, man. So then politicians are good with words. They have smart speech writers who will write the best of speeches. They will play with the words. They will mesmerize us with the words. And those who are their supporters will yell in happiness and all that. Then all those things don't take us anywhere. It will be what you do at the end of the day. After everything is said and done, when the rubber meets the road, what will you do? And this is what this should be all about. But again, words matters. When you say something as a leader, myself included, if I say something I don't do, I want people to hold me accountable. Anthony, you failed, you lied, you broke a promise. Let us be bold to say that to these leaders. They are not doing us a favor. They are doing us a service. If you are a leader, you cannot hold people you lead accountable. I mean, just forget it. These are our servants. It is our responsibility to hold them accountable because they will not do it for themselves, period.
Tom, he said we were deepening our differences, creating new social fault lines. Inclusive and accountable government was at an all-time low. We created a culture of unfinished business, engaged in ad hoc undertakings, making this behavior the new normal. We were cavalier about the rule of law. We lowered standards in many domains of our common life. Was Mr. Boakai indicting himself here, or President Weah?
I think the country has always had a problem since independence. To me, I have always said the foundation of that country is its problem. So I think he was just referring to our past history, including the 12 years of Madam Salif. And he himself came out and said they squandered some opportunities and we have to give it to him.
No,
So
but he
he
tried
has
to clean that up a lot of time that, the squander meant this. But go ahead.
No, he said it. Every time he was, engaged with it, he tried to clarify what he meant, that he didn't say they stole money, for instance, but there were some opportunities they needed to take advantage of, they did not take advantage of it. So I think he was just saying that the state has not been doing well in the past. And when he says that on the rule of law and other things, I think the later part of it is all referring to the past government that he just that he's taken over from. And we can all agree that that's a fact. Under President Weah, things just fell down to the ground flat. So I think that's a fact. That's something that we cannot dispute. That's something that the election results show, that if President Weah did well. And Darlington made a point here. If we have President Boakai today, this generation was already behind us. If Weah and his team had done well. If we have all these old people today, it's because of Weah and Samuel Tue and the rest of them. I mean, they had a lot of expectation when they came with all of their energy, but they just redirected the energy to enriching themselves. And therefore, the people had to go back to elect President Joseph Numa Boakai, So, I mean, this is what we have. This is what we are going to move with. We just hope he can lay the foundation, and then we can transition to actually move forward and move this country forward. But I don't think I see people on Facebook talking all sorts of things. Who made this?
There were some hopeful lines in the speech, right?
Definitely,
He said we must foster a Liberian identity that overcomes the contrasting historical narrative, blurs the lines of regions and counties, gender and historically sinister and destructive individualism, that triggers greed and corruption as opposed to compassionate service of the public good. As it said, we must work together or fail separately. I'm therefore assuring all Liberians that I will be the president for all, irrespective of whether you voted for me or not, your party affiliation, county, religion, gender, region, and social and economic status. There is no contest between so-called green Liberia and blue Liberia, southeastern Liberia and north central Liberia. There is only one Liberia. We share a common citizenship. That was powerful. Mr. CA, this southeastern and central Liberia blue green was very prominent. And I can say I really did not hear Mr. Boakai kind of repudiating those kind of statements during the campaign, but finally he said something.
Finally, he says something, and you are right. During the campaign, he nurtured it. I think that is Joseph Boakai 101 right there. When a piece of politics is dirty, once it benefits his political agenda, he will be quiet. He will nurture it. He will allow his surrogates, to propagate it so that he benefits from the dividend. It might be a clever political move. One can say that benefited him with this southeastern nonsense that they propagated during the course of the campaign and throughout the time of President. Look, I'm glad he said that line and he inserted it in the speech. It's a brilliant line. What I would demand now is they must live it. Mr. Boakai should be that example to live it, because we can utter these words to suggest that we'll do something differently. If we don't add what we say, then of course it's just a bluff, and that's just unfortunate. When you look at the first list of the appointment, though, maybe one can think that in the first list, I see some names that are, pretty much one can say they are it's not our man, not our man, but Grace Clay is from Sino County, so he nominated somebody to be his Minister of Presidential Affairs from Sino, right? So that is a positive, except that, like you pull it, and I'll borrow your words here, Dennis, we have two grandpas now who will be the administrators of our country. I couldn't agree with you. I would have loved to see a more vibrant, thorough, detail-oriented, kind of young man. I have one in mind, but I can't make that recommendation. It's Boakai's, choice, that will serve him very well. But I will leave it at that. So to come back to the point I was making, yes, brilliant line. Let Mr. Boakai add it. Let him live it. Let his entire government stand by it. The final line is one common citizenship. That's the only thing that defines us as a people. All right? The tribes, the counties, those are all diversity that can be a plus to us. One citizenship, one Liberian will make that difference. And somewhere he said, let us feel. Collectively we will succeed, but if we go separately, we will fail. Another fine line there. I think those were good lines. Let Mr. Boakai do all he can, to live those words.
Yeah, but Mr. C, you're talking about, the one Liberia, but we see the appointment you referenced came from one group, Unity Party. Those that were with him, right? I didn't see NPP.
And Dennis, you and I have had a little more of a similar, thoughts here when it comes to that, right? Look, if Unity Party wins, let Unity Party appoint Unity Party citizens, right? If they do the job of the Liberian people, they serve us well, they build our roads, we have water, we have schools, I'm okay with that. Irrespective of where they come from, they are Liberians. I'm not saying, I'm not recognizing the fact that diversity is a plus for us. If it is, you have a diversified cabinet, it's a good thing for us. But if the cabinet is diversified, let's say you have equal number of tribal people in your government, and they are all fluff and they fail, what good is that for us?
No good. Thomas,
yeah.
Let's look at those hopeful words from President Boakai, but the one about inclusion and no Southeastern, I think they are coming too late.
Oh yeah, very too late. Very too late.
But eventually they came, right?
Yeah.
And Thomas, please, at some point they came up with the Nothing Alliance. The Nothing Alliance, and one of the top surrogate of Joseph Boakai, our good friend George Lobo, on this platform, He says Southeasterners are not good leaders. Southeasterners are not good leaders. He said it. I have the tape. I have the video. He said that. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't try to build a fence after the guinea pigs finish eating the rice. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, and I think he makes the point in the speech, right? That we have gone through an election. You've listened to people say, okay, the country is split in the middle, which I've always contested, because I do always think that President Weah used a lot of state resources. That's why he got the vote that he got. And so the point he was making is that, okay, during the political season, everybody follows their own path. You know, people wanted George Weah, some people wanted Mr. Cummings, and in the end, when the two of them came to the runoff, people have to just come around them to get one of them across the line. I think this speech is situated in that context, that during the political, competition for who will become president, people got, along this line. Some people from the north, some people from the southeast, some people from this. But now that it is time for governance, we all should come together and look at ourselves as citizens of Liberia. Because even when the election results were coming, you used to see how they were reporting the results. They would just give the counties that George Weah won, they gave a blue color, and the counties that GMB was winning, they gave a blue color. So I think he's
Green.
just making a point, green. He's just making a point that we all need to come together now to be able to have an inclusive government to move the country forward. And I think every politician who wins an election does it. Even here, people go head on, even in their parties, they are division. But when they win, they say, let's all come together and be able to move the country forward.
Right. But that's why sometimes you expect this John McCain moment, right? Where you repudiate somebody who's being divisive. But you don't want to wait until you benefit from the divisiveness and say, well, I finished now, I get it, I got what I wanted, so let's come together. You feel me?
No, but I think at a certain point there were some statements that were made. The Unity Party will come out and refute them, and the
Mr.
both parties were.
Do you have any example of Mr. Boakai refuting anything or repudiating anybody who's being divisive? I don't remember.
The party put up a lot of press statements.
I'm talking
When
about
the
Mr.
issue.
Boakai.
But when the party,
on the Southeastern narrative, not one, never.
No, I'm not cherry picking the Southeastern narrative. But when the party posts up a statement, you have to agree that the statement is coming from, the standard bearer. It's under his authority that this.
Yeah, that's why I talk about the John McCain movement. But let me go to Darlington here. Darlington, there are some good words from President Boakai. Those statements, those ones I read.
I think Dennis, to an extent, you've been unfair to His Excellency the President. There have not been more divisive comments from the Unity Party from that of the CDC that the president had to at the time had to clarify. Name me any statement from Unity Party officials where, except Brother CA is talking about George Lobo. George Lobo is not an official in the executive committee of the Unity Party. He's a staunch supporter of Joseph Boakai. Yes, if you said it on your platform, I'm sure. I'm coming, Chief. It's Joseph Boakai. You don't expect Joseph Boakai to monitor all of the platforms. All right. The case, for example, like Fagon at the time, when Fagon made a statement that was divisive, that claimed a lot of international attention about Congo and Native. Of course, the U.S. Embassy issued statement. I have not listened to statement from somebody like Mo Ali, who is a party spokesperson, being divisive about something where Joseph Boakai, we have to clarify. So I think it's been unfair. You can say that about His Excellency the President. And by the way, politics is a game of divide. The fact that power-seeking behavior enter people here and it's election stand, there will be divisive tendency where people share their ideas. You telling your people about this one, the other person telling the other people about this one. So the truth is, politicians will always go to their base. People will go to their base where that stimulates their political agenda. I for once, I'm not seeing a president that is showing that he's divisive. On the one, look at the composition of the people he appointed. None of them are from the northern region. Correct me if I'm wrong. None of them. So, and somebody talking about who Ambassador Grace Bay here and there, but name me one person, Chief. Educate me. Correct me with the facts. Do not speculate. Name me one. Say Semgay, for example, and tell me where he's from. I don't know anything about Semgay. I've said it yet. Is Gregory Coleman from Lofa? No, he's not. So these people, Joseph Boakai appointed, they are not united party. Give me a chance, please. They are not united partisans. They are not united. The region, you can put it at the region. These people, Joseph Boakai appointed, they are not officials or active political people in the Unity Party. These are technicians. I've never seen Grace Bay anywhere near the corridors of the Unity Party. In fact, I got friends in the Unity Party inside. These are people who believe that, quote unquote, they are struggling for their victory, and Boakai should not be in Grace Bay. The reason Boakai brought Grace Bay because, like anybody said, a president will always go for people that he reposes confidence in. He worked with Ambassador Grace Bay. He knows his pedigree. He knows what he's capable of doing. He knows how he can deliver. So you don't expect, after we, the young people, the masses of our people give this country to the young people. What did we do with the leadership of this country? We came to power, numerous girlfriends. There's no lifestyle discipline. Young people acquiring private properties here and there. Our own friend Koji brutalizing people under the cover of darkness. The masses have no option but to institute calm and render this country to the Elder Council, and we must live under these conditions. In fact, the youth wing of the country now, we must take baby steps. No, let's be honest. It is true that the older generation will have to breed the new breed of generational leaders to take over the country, because in as much as we are clamoring this change of generational change, there are a lot of young people who go into government without the necessary discipline. They run into a lot of trouble. We don't even know that there will be professional young people that Ambassador Boakai is going to absorb into his government. So again, apples do not fall so far from the tree. This man is president of the country. The president he decides to make his chief of staff or minister of state for presidential affairs, he will not run for Thomas Carney or Darlington Collins. In fact, people from that generation, they say, well, I labor no. Even if Darlington has the expertise. So Boakai will go for people, somebody of his PA, his caliber. Ambassador Grace Bay comes to, we should hold people on what they did in government. The fact that Grace Bay have worked in government for maybe the most part of his life, from a cadet at the foreign ministry, with no stain of public corruption. If you know that he's corrupt, say yeah.
No, just show it.
That should be the issue. Unlike the likes of people who came to power and they couldn't even take care of their own health, they grow unnecessary. Give me a chance, please. They grow unnecessary pop bellies over the cover of darkness. The Americans, unprecedented, and the president look at his speech. Public governance grew at all-time low. The country was fast going down the drain. I understand all of this, the sentiments about young people wanting to come into government, but the truth of the matter is that if we have a president falling off stage today, Josh, we actually share a greater responsibility into that. You are a young man, you came to power. The people gave you power. What did you do with the people power? He said he laughing, he won't gossip President Boakai on stage. It's a shame.
Thank you.
What do you do with your stewardship? How we as government?
We have one key one I wanted to tell. We have a key one I wanted to tell before, but I will give you 30 seconds. But when I said the John McCain movement, I was not talking about party official. John McCain did not repudiate a party official. John McCain repudiated someone who was in the group and said Obama is a Muslim. So that's why Anthony gave you the George Lobo example, an aide to Boakai, and also I'll read you the example of Obe Obe. And this is what Obe Obe said. He said, I said many times when a Southeast person held the leadership. Hold on, please. Hold on. I'm not talking tribe yet. He said, I said many times when a Southeast person has the leadership, Liberia falls into perils, ritualistic killings, unwarranted killings of public officials, death squads, uprising, and terror grab the country and its people. Samuel K. Doe targeted Nimba County. We are also from the Southeast is targeting Lofa County. Lofa County is now the new Nimba County. Something like that should be repudiated by Mr. Boakai. But let me leave it like that. Anthony, your 30 seconds. Kind of your 30 seconds. And then we close on
Obe is not an official of the United Party. Deal with Obe as a person.
Darlington, you're not paying attention. Darlington, you're not paying attention.
It's Obe
Darlington.
I am.
Darlington, Mr. Collins, you're not paying attention. Then they said he was looking for a John McCain movement. John McCain repudiated a supporter not a party official. All right. Now, obey
So
that.
Hold on now, Darlington.
Darlington, you have to give others chance to speak. You have all the time, brother. All right.
I enjoyed
That.
visual difference.
Obey that Dennis mentioned when Mr. Boakai came to Minnesota. If you saw a huge man standing behind Joseph Boakai in that court, that was Obey. He came so close to Joseph Boakai, and he uttered those words. He never said anything. George Noble said similar thing. He propagated that Southeastern nonsense right here. He said nothing. We have the video. I'm very close to George Noble, and you know that, right? But I mean, I'm the kind of guy who will tell you the truth because I care about you. The truth must be the truth, and that's why it is. That's what Dennis is saying. So look, the fact is that the appointment of Grisby is based on friendship. Friendship is dangerous when you are considering individuals. Man, let me learn. When you are considering individual, when your yardstick is on the basis of friendship, when that friend does any wrong, what will you do? You mentioned the example of Nathaniel McGill. So yes, McGill who was close to Joshua. Yes, 12 who was close to Joshua. And on that basis, we have brought them into government. Boakai say he would be different. He's doing exactly the same thing. That's my case.
No, I don't. No.
Your 30 seconds, Kana, and then we go to the next topic, the last one.
Are we still going through the speech?
No, yeah, give your last on the speech.
But Anthony says some things. You not give me a chance to
Hold on,
respond to him.
Darlington.
No, I want to disagree with Anthony. You know, if Joseph Boakai, I think, selects someone to compare it to Weah in Maggie, let's agree that that position is a position of friendship. The Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, it has to be your buddy. That's the person who's always going to be with you. So, Darlington was making a point that there's a similarity between these two people. Both of them have served in government for many years, and not a record that you can easily go to. They've served in institutions. I mean, when people go to institutional audit reports and say, okay, this person was here, but individually, do we have a record to say, okay, Honorable Grisby has been involved in corruption and all of that? If Joseph Boakai feels that this person has a clean slate and therefore the person should be close to me, then of course we cannot compare it to Maggie and George Weah. That's different. On the issue of the speech, for me, you know, I'm somebody always advocating for decentralization in Liberia. And here is a point that was made in the speech. We need to rectify the flaws in our constitution to address the devolution of power and other pressing issues. I think that is very, very critical. With the kind of system of government that we have, appointing all of these people to sit down in Monrovia and just take decisions on behalf of everybody in the country is not going to work. To me, the real change is when you change the structure of governance. It really doesn't matter who's finance minister. I would expect that the incoming finance minister should be somebody who will know that we have a local government act, there's a revenue for sharing law, there should be intergovernmental transfer between the central government and local government so that services are delivered to the people. It doesn't matter where you come from with your degree. If you go and sit to that finance ministry and re-centralize everything, we will have a contention with you. So I think this is very, very critical. He also spoke about giving voice to civil society. Civil society hasn't had a lot of voice. He spoke about setting a special office to review the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Code. So I think there's a lot more. We might not have the time to go line by line, but there are critical things that he said in there. We just hope that these things can be implemented because under Madam Seli, we got used to very sweet speeches. Judge Weah came, he said, look at my action, don't look at my speeches. In the end, his actions were flawed. They were not very encouraging. We just hope that we are in an era of limited words, but a lot of action.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you are just tuning in, this is Focus on Liberia Between the Headlines. We are looking at day one of the Boakai presidency. If you want to be part of the conversation, please call the number on your screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Today was day one of the Boakai presidency. And at the beginning, we had 2 persons in the executive. Now we have up to 7 persons, right? Even though they still need to be confirmed. But what do we say are the accomplishments of Joseph Newman Boakai on day one? What did he do? One thing that I saw is after the inauguration, I was expecting him to go to the executive mansion and start to work, but he went home. And there, and at home, he was entertaining guests. It's a good thing to have guests. Probably he was still working, but he was home. You know, he went, and the president of Ghana went to meet him. I want to, before I ask for your opinion on what did he accomplish today, I want to bring it home here in the United States on day one, what Joe Biden did. And maybe it's a stretch, but just hear me out here. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters that President Biden has signed 15 executive actions, part of a flurry of steps he plans to take in the coming days to address his top policy priorities and to roll back some of the former President Donald Trump's initiative. White House officials had originally told reporters there will be 17 actions signed focused on addressing the COVID-19 crisis, the economy, racial justice, and climate change. The signed actions include a mandate for masks on federal property, an action to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, a removal of Trump's travel ban affecting Muslim majority nations, a proclamation halting further funding or construction to the wall along the U.S. southern border, and an order reversing Trump's decision to withdraw from the World Health Organization. These were President Biden's action on day one, as reported by NPR. Mr. Cannon, are we expecting anything to be accomplished? Because especially coming from the Weah administration that brought the bar so low, and I don't know who can go even lower than that. So, were you expecting something like executive orders and all these kind of things, or some pronouncement? Because where we are as a country, we need to move swiftly.
Well, it's difficult to say now. Even if we're expecting something with the situation that took place, what would you have expected the president to do? You had the health president on the program who was just advising that he should have gone to hospital rather than going home and even meeting with these dignitaries. So I can say for sure whether there are actions that were prepared for him to sign today. We have to see what the second day and the third day look like. I will expect that after the JPTT work with all of the information that were brought forth, those ones that will fall in the space of executive orders, we hope to see maybe them sign or reverse. For instance, one of it that I'm looking forward to see what the president is going to do is this executive order that call on all the rubber producers in the country to not sell rubber out of the country. They have to sell it domestically. Is that something they are going to keep or they are going to reverse? But that will only happen if you have done a lot of work prior to day one. If you've been waiting for day one before you start your work, then you are already late. You have to do a lot of work before those things can be signed on day one. So I think with the situation today, I can't go into this. We have to wait and see what tomorrow or the next day is going to bring.
But Thomas, you said it beautifully, right? If you have done this thing prior, right?
Yeah, but even if they were done prior, for health reasons, they might not ask him to sign executive orders today. That's the point I'm making.
But he was meeting guests, right?
That's greeting.
The strength he had to meet guests and talk to them, he could take a pen and sign executive orders if they were prepared.
That's a courtesy greeting after the program, Anthony said.
To sign.
If you sign at home, let's be clear now.
Before him for day one.
But let's be clear now. If he signed it, the other question was that, do you need to sign them at home? He's supposed to have been in the executive mansion, but he went home because of health reasons. This is what I'm saying. We can't discuss what he should have done today in isolation of the incident that just happened that cut the program short. So do you expect him to take documents home to go and sign them home?
Yes.
He has to sign them in there. No, that's not the way government works.
Poor excuse. Thomas, let me tell you this. Oh, no. We
no.
Let me learn.
No, Thomas was still on the floor, so let Thomas.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. There may have been some things that were planned, but because of the situation, You cannot then carry on with those things. It had to be a detour. Even the program was just abruptly stopped. Some people who wanted, they had meetings to attend, they had to move to the airport and get on their flights and go back. This is not the way it was planned. So to hold the president responsible now that he did not sign any executive order, my point is, if we don't see him doing anything tomorrow, my interpretation will be that they did not prepare prior. But if we have some things coming tomorrow and day after tomorrow, then of course we know that the new government did some work. There are low-hanging fruits.
Right.
There are executive orders that you can pass tomorrow.
Thank you. So,
Thomas,
so because of health reason, we didn't have anything done today, Thomas. That's what you're saying. And this is understandable. We have to, our human side have to kick in. There was health crisis, so probably that's why nothing was accomplished.
And then here's the thing, right? There's one thing that by law was required to be done as at least an accomplishment before they won. That was asset declaration. They failed on that. Tell me, do you know whether these people were working on executive orders set into motion to be signed on day one if we have not had a situation? Well, they told us that the president got better. He was okay enough to meet foreign guests and have conversation with them. Even the speaker went there. He spent about 1 hour in there, and he said the president was engaging. That strength he had to engage more than 10 persons, he could use that time to sign. Someone said, well, he can't sign executive order at the house. What is the law that says that? President leave the country and travel abroad. Even on the plane, you can sign executive. There's no law that binds a president that you must be in the executive mansion before you can sign any bill into law. A president can sign any law anywhere. They can do that.
Why
if
you
they
think,
have done some work. Hold on now, Thomas. This is a rescue mission we're talking about here. So what is the rescue plan they put into place to start work on day one? Liberia was drowning. We needed to be rescued. The captain of the rescue train, he came on day one of the operation. He failed. I'm not going to have any sympathy here because of what happened. They told us the man is okay. Why couldn't they inform us of anything that was in place and for him to have signed at least one executive order? Now, they always compare Joe Biden with Joseph Boakai or Joseph Boakai with Joe Biden, that Joe Boakai is the Joe Biden of America. And by the way, then I followed what you read. 18 executive orders were signed on that day, even though the newspaper there mentioned 17. 18 were signed by Joe Biden on day one, because those things were done way before time. Because America was in a situation that was desperate. We had a bigot as President Trump who was just disrupting anything, COVID king. It was an emergency situation. So they prepared way ahead of time and they had things ready to go on day one. They ordered rescue mission in Liberia. They ordered Joe in Liberia. I don't think he came on rescue mission here. Maybe he came to rescue himself. He had to be rescued on day one by others. Pitiful.
Mr. Collins, what were some of the accomplishments of President Boakai on day one?
I mean, before I talk about the accomplishment, I just want to guide against, being unnecessarily critical. Anthony, I understand the vigor, big brother, but let me say this, please. In government, there will always be contradictions. And trust me, when those contradictions emerges, I will be here to come and join you to criticize them. I will be here. I'm not interested in supporting Joseph Boakai to go to bed, to sleep. But chief, come on now, let's be realistic. Give this man a chance. Like Thomas said, the program got disrupted, with the president health being at stake. Anything can happen. So for you to be insensitive to say that the head of the rescue mission had to be rescued, it's been insensitive, because anything can happen. I mean, just today, we no matter all these things we're talking, a brother, Duson Kamara, who went to Monrovia for the inauguration of Joseph Boakai, lost his life for this heat exhaustion. The situation could have been different, but thank God, to the Supreme Spirit that he preserved the life of the president. What do we say to the mourning family of our fallen compatriots who have gone home to witness the dawn of a new day? So the president had other engagements, he wanted to go to the mansion. The protocol people again had to insist, because who knows? You go put that old man in the executive man to start working, but he needed to go home and probably relax. And so we don't know what's going to happen. So the old man had guests in the country. I don't run the president protocol for him. His friends, like Nana Akufo-Addo and other people in the country, if they stop by to see him or before heading out, we shouldn't make this an issue. This old man have time. And sincerely, I never supported Mr. Weah, but when Weah took over the leadership of the country, the honorable thing we afforded Mr. Weah was to allow him for up to a year. Not even criticizing Weah. I think up to 6 to 7 months until Koji went to district 13 and started to be director of police and brutalizing people and want to be commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So we must give time. We will criticize this old man. Let's save the energy. We can only hope that when the new administration comes, the Boakai said in the upcoming 100 years, some of his plans he intends to roll out, the fight against corruption. He's appointing serious people in government. What we should be debating is about the competence and the sincerity of those people who are coming to public sector management. That should be the debate. Boakai, yes, he's not somebody who's going to sit in an arid town and toy with the best of ideas, but the cabal of people he brings around him will make him to succeed or not. So I'm sure that Boakai will have wealth of experience in government. If he gambled wrongly, history will be unkind to him. Because the Darlington that you see, who maybe today you can say, I am very much passive on the show. I will not mince my words to put Boakai in political firing range. This struggle was not intended about acquiring ill-gotten wealth at the expense of our struggling people. Because when we go to Morovia too, and Thomas, if we don't advocate for proper healthcare administration in the country, we go there, the very same all ambulances they have, JFK, may have to pick us up. We don't know. So this is the soul of a dying nation. So it's not about politics. We have time to criticize the administration. For some of us who support Boakai, we are not even interested in anything in terms of whether it is a public service space to even serve as sweeper. We want this government to make progress. And the Liberian people surrendered the country, like I said, to the Elders Council. The pace at which the young people were operating, the people gave us the opportunity. Liberian people now, you tell them to support any young person, they are very careful. Very careful, especially with the way they have the Weah experience. So for somebody to say, the president did not do much on the one, I mean, circumstances happen.
Darlington, do you expect any president, or besides the health condition, will you expect President Boakai to do anything like executive orders and do pronouncement on day one? Or is it, or yes, the issue is because
I'm sure that
no, I'm not getting. Or is it? Are you saying?
There were plans on the way
to... Let me ask again. Are you saying because he's sick, that's why it didn't happen, or it shouldn't happen at all?
No, it should happen. But as a matter of fact, he's the one signing these executive orders. When people sign these executive orders, it's a whole lot that goes into it. The program.
I hear you say repeatedly, let's give him chance. In fact, we didn't do it, and he was not criticized. So why ask him? Why criticize now?
No, I'm not.
So I'm not getting
suggesting that because we are going to do it, that he can't do it. That's not what I'm saying.
Are you saying because he's sick, that's why, or he shouldn't do it at all?
You are a president on the stage who were basically.
What were the accomplishments today?
I'm just saying, let us be flexible with the president.
Why?
We saw an episode today.
No, why? Why are you calling flexibility?
Yeah, the president accomplished. The president announced 5 members of his cabinet. I think this. No, you asked the question, what have the president accomplished today? The president had named 5 Liberian citizens into his cabinet. So on tomorrow, we'll have national police running. On tomorrow, we'll have, national security advisor designate, where other people pending confirmation were applicable by our law. So the president managed to accomplish something today. Burma Kamara will be going to the Ministry of Finance and be checking on stuff and making sure in the upcoming days we expect more names to come on. So if Boakai now, shortlist a couple of people in his government, I would be concerned.
Appointment is before day one. You make your appointment before day one, right? We're talking about actions on day one, because if you don't have a government, so making an appointment of 5 persons, that should have happened before.
It's not compulsory that he signs executive action on the.
No, but then how
do you make an appointment when you're not president?
Yeah.
No. You have the list. You have everything. So making an appointment is really not the big deal.
No. But then you say appointments are made before No. That's not fair. And that's what I'm saying. Apparently, you and brother Anthony have been reading from the same lenses lately. But look, look. Let me be honest. Let me put it in the Labyrinth way. We are dealing with a way about paper. They're not young people who suffers from mob diarrhea. We want to write Thomas anemia, and then Thomas would the whole world will know that they're not read Thomas name. Boakai is the one arranging his government. Boakai is the one who knows.
Let me leave you at that. You're making too many excuses.
The president will do his job. Don't rush the hands of the president. Give the president a chance.
Dennis, if I can just make a point on the appointments, I was a little surprised because I really did expect that the foreign minister was going to be named as part of the first batch of appointees.
They said they are still vetting him.
Right. But it so appears that there was a lot of focus on the security sector because we see the National Security Advisor, the head of police, and then the head of the EPS, which are very important, but I would have really expected foreign and maybe justice minister. Because the issue with finances is that sometimes the justice minister has to play a role. Because let's say, for instance, the government wants to sign an instrument, for instance, a short-term financing loan. After Burma is confirmed, the justice minister will have to sign. So I think the foreign minister, if they were not part of the first list, hopefully in the next 1 or 2 days, we can have a foreign minister as well as we can have a justice minister. Because even all of the dignitaries that were on the ground, it is the foreign minister that needs to be in touch with them. And as of 12th May Day, we as foreign minister is gone. So is it the HR at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that is going to take over?
And what does it tell you? Does it suggest that not much preparation was made before day one? I mean,
and then that what brings about the whole executive order thing. Maybe the president-elect and his team should have contemplated that, well, saying we'll not get all our people in on day one, and we know that we have folks are corrupt, they can't be trusted. Maybe there'll be an executive order, of firing all proper ministers to step aside, and maybe the HR or somebody to be acting until we can appoint our people and get them confirmed for them to start. How about that?
Or you have executive order against fire, people fire blazing from somewhere.
I mean, to not have anything.
Let me bring in one Unity Party enthusiast, Mr. Flomo Livingstone. Mr. Livingstone, you're live. We are discussing President Boakai on day one.
Yeah, great show. Look, you guys ahead of time. Yeah, as I say, I have to disagree with you guys.
I know.
You gotta give the president, Joseph Boakai some time.
Hey.
Look, for me, the incident that happened today, I have to blame the EPS and the organizer who did that. Look, you can't have a temperature of 11 degrees without take African cloth on him, with bulletproof vest and white t-shirt on him, and you got no fans to blow him or even a cold water to give him to drink, and you expect him to read off 16 page or 24 page of notes. For me, I hold the EPS responsible. I know that CDC were in it. No, because they wanted to see this.
But what make you why did Mr. Boakai think will read 25 pages in 90-degree weather? Why did he think that?
I don't know if you're going to read all that 25 pages. I don't know when you're going to stop. But my point I'm saying is, look, the weather was bad. I don't know why they put bulletproof vests on him. I don't think anyone was going to harm him. They should not put bulletproof vest because we know how bulletproof vest is heavy.
But Thomas, Flomo, don't let it Omar ask you, Boakai, baby? That Omar will soon come with that question.
No, he listened to other people advice, so he can't just do all the decision by himself. So he take advice from other people. Maybe the sons are security concern. That's why they say you should put bulletproof vests on. But for me, I didn't think it was the right decision to put bulletproof vests on in a 90-degree weather. Look, when it comes to appointing people alone, we got to give it some time. He just appointed 5. I know, actually, he says, there's no female. Oh, we have to wait for all the list. to see if there's no female. If there's no female, I will be one of the president. I'll be criticizing JMB. I mean, for that, I mean, I want some female president in our administration. So I don't want to rush it because 5 more calls today. Those female. No, we can't do that. Depends the position he assigned to those people. I don't know. The next maybe tomorrow will be female. For me, will criticize it if there's no female. And hopefully, if JMB did not declare his answers, I'll be disappointed because I want him to declare his answers to set our prison. So I don't know, you guys are breaking your own assertion. It's allegation. You don't know if he did not do it or not. We have to wait. If he did not do it for me, I'll be disappointed in him.
But the deadline passed.
Thank you very much.
Hold on. Somebody want to talk to you.
What Boakai told the money for?
What na baby? Boakai get money. Yeah, you got your first man.
Baby, my man, stop making excuses for Boakai. Let me bring in our second caller here.
Let's give us a week, all right?
All right. Because you said the same thing. When we say let Boakai declare, I said before, they say, oh, let's wait for Monday, 11:59. 11:59 came and passed. So we still waiting.
Yeah. John, you're not sure. I'm not sure if he declared. Did you read all the whole 24 or 16 pages to see if it was mentioned in there? I don't know.
I read the entire speech. I read the entire speech. It's not there.
It's not there, and you don't declare answer in speech. But let me bring you another caller.
You're right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Territorial Lion Yakun. Territorial Lion Yakun is from South Dakota. He's a sedition. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for taking my call, Brother John. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking the call. Yeah, you people strongly advocate for Boakai. Advocate for Boakai as the integrity.
Who people are you talking about?
Well, no, on your platform, I'm not saying you personally, but
okay, go ahead.
On the broad platform, like right now, we see Mr. Darlington Cole, he's Collins in the studio, a very young man, will come and use his energy advocating for the wrong people in our society. And these are things that have been dangerous to fall. Because the common Liberians will just come and just buy into that. You cannot deliberately support a man who came and said he was a parked car and 12 years, he not did anything. And y'all said that he had the experience, but he couldn't identify the abnormal components of his speech. You can't get a speech now in the age of 30 years plus, and you see people wrote that kind of speech that we're going to get speech for 2 hours. We should have just, make some kind of corrections before going into that in the details. But then he went and disgraced the Republic of Liberia today.
How?
And that's wrong. And we are hurt. We are extremely.
Teddy, you're talking like we are sharing now. The man, there's history. What disgrace about that? I said how you sounding now. The man had an episode and you say disgrace.
It was a disgrace. The man not in his speech. It's inaugural speech. That's a disgrace. No country, nobody, no nation have experienced it. Trust we support President Weah. And people say, oh, why we support President Weah over many times? But President Weah, we know, next year I'll be 50. No one can tell me the truth that President Weah have not been the very first president to introduce development and
since 1847
problem of the country, and he had spread himself all over the place, many projects to put our country on the right trajectory.
Thank you, Teddy.
Break it down and give Boakai the stage. And now, what is this? Why have this grace us today?
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you. I got two more. Thank you. I got two more callers.
I appreciate it.
Roland Freeman and J. Emmanuel Nagby. Let's start with Roland. Roland, go ahead. You live.
Yes, sir. This is Roland from Columbus, Ohio. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for asking. Your question or comments?
Yeah, I want to make a comment. I feel so sorry for the judge caller who left the line, and it appears that people don't have clue on Liberia, and everybody voice ought to be heard here. But today, Joseph Boakai did achieve something, regardless of the circumstances that occurred. It was not his fault. Heat stroke, we live in America, we know. When it's summertime, we have all the experts, we have all the technology here.
Yeah.
When it's going to be 90 degrees, the next day, they will let you know, watch your TV. They will send you messages on your phone. You will see online. They will tell you, we don't have that technology in Liberia. So it was an outdoor program. It was extremely hot. We even heard that besides Joseph Boakai, there were other people who had the same problem. Somebody died, in fact, from that. They've been circulating on Facebook. So I don't know how another Liberian come on here and say Boakai disgraced our country. When they talk about, heat stroke, it means that some of these folks they live here, but they're only here for paycheck. I don't think they are reading anything or they are watching the news to see what happened around here. Now, that's the point here.
Okay.
But he did achieve something. So here's what he achieved today. Remember, Boakai struck one very important point during his speech. He laid a groundwork and told you from the 1847 the number of presidents and how people have been doing work halfway. They don't complete activity or project or work. They come, they do it, they leave it, they go for next person. And it has been like that for many years. And he said, we will not do business as usual. It means that those halfway work will not be done the same way. It means that stealing money and creating margin for yourself will not be done the same way he spoke about it. Now, here's the important thing. Even though he had the circumstances, but at the end of the day, he named 5 major important cabinet ministers. I mean, in terms of security, the situation in our country, and we need those people to start acting immediately before we can even reach to the rest of the people. So I think he did extremely well.
They got to be confirmed first before they start working.
Of course, but you know what? The office is not empty. Okay. Remember, I don't know if you guys were following, but from my understanding from the joint transitional team, it was arranged that those folks, some of them are going to maintain those offices until the end of January.
Okay.
So by the time the new ministers comes in, he will be there, I think, until he can get confirmed and take the office. But it was told that these folks will remain there until the end of January. So I don't think the office is empty. I think the work is still going on. I think people are supposed to get paid if they need to get paid. And therefore, we are not making an excuse for that. But I'm just saying, I am following the process, and I think Boakai is on course.
Thank you.
Regardless of the circumstance today, I think he did well. And we want to say thank you to Liberian and thank you to President Weah for allowing the process to be smooth and transparent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Somebody said it didn't. Anyway, let me bring on Mr. J.
Dennis shut off, and he has the phone line. Let's wait for Dennis to come by. For me, I'll make this point, right? Mr. Boakai is the experienced man. He has been in government for so long. And so he and his team should have set into motion what will be accomplished on day one. What happened today could have been prevented. The caller said that we don't have the technology in Liberia that will tell you the weather. False. Just your phone, just on the internet to go to Google, you can search the weather report or forecast for Liberia, it will tell you. So we have that in Liberia. You just need internet to know the forecast of any city or any country. Besides, I think BBC might still be doing this. When I was in Liberia on the radio, BBC would be giving the weather report for most of the African countries and other countries. So, and then there's a weather channel app, and there are other apps, that are on people's phones, and they can find out the forecast. So first of all, people should have looked at the forecast to know how hot it will be on that particular day. I'm sure they didn't do that. Mr. Boakai, as experienced as he is, should have known better that he cannot read a 24 to 25 pages speech for that long. He should have known that. But that's why he did. So if his speech were about 30 minutes or less, or maybe 25 minutes, he would not have had this situation. This could have been prevented. Experience did not kick in that right there. So that's why we had a situation, and it was just unfortunate. It could have been prevented.
Thank you. Let me bring in J. Victor Nangbi. Victor, you're live. Go ahead, sir. Hold on, Victor. Yes, go ahead, Victor. You're live.
Yeah, I'm complaining. Stop discriminating against me. How is it all the other colors came through and all of a sudden I got muted? But anyway, great show again as usual. And thanks, to you guys for not joining the praise singing bandwagon. I listened to the previous caller, even Mr. Collins, sitting over there twisting himself into pretzels and trying to defend what is undefensible. Look, if we are going to gauge what this government should have done today or should be doing in terms of this one day, it is a mistake. These people got elected since November. This is January. They had all the time in the world to plan. This man could have formulated a symbolic, even if it was one presidential order today, that would have been sufficient. I was in Monrovia in early January. They were visiting government agencies asking for financial reports. I know they visited the Good Government Commission. So they've been working and doing stuff behind the scenes, except that they weren't working towards the right stuff. So just like you indicated, they knew the weather would be like this today. So that really is not an excuse. They could have prepared for it. They could have prepared for it. They could have put this man under a little canopy. They could have put a fan around him. They could have done a lot of things. They could have written a shorter speech. So all of these things, these mistakes, they continue to pile up. And if they continue like this, I'm here to inform Mr. Collins and his people, they will be there for a one term. The way they are going. It is way too early. They have an opportunity to correct course, but they have to face up to the fact. They continue to make all these unnecessary mistakes, and it's up to it to say, they're not getting advice, and they have good people. Are they not listening to the advisors? They have good people on the team. It baffles a lot of us when we see the kind of mistakes they're making. Someone just talked about how they dressed the president today under a 90-degree weather. Long sleeve shirt, long gown, bulletproof. Are we surprised then that, he suffered from exhaustion? So these are really avoidable little mistakes. And I am telling them, and we mean well, this is why we're giving them free advice. We are all Liberians. The government is our government. We're praying for them to succeed. But if they come sit here and justify every little mistake and refuse to own up to it, then they are doing themselves a disservice. So thank you again for the show. We're watching. We'll continue to advise them. I don't think they should look at what we're telling them as trying to hate on them or whatever it is, but we're helping to correct them. And I think they should take these pieces of advice in good faith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Nawi.
Thank you, Mr. Nawi.
Gentlemen, time is fast spent. I want starting with Mr. Collins. Let's be brief and a quick response to the caller. I think the last caller called your name. Unmute yourself. Hold on. I have the last caller. Mr. Wisa, go ahead.
I think Mr. Nangbe has been unfair.
Yes, I'm following. Am I live, my brother?
Yeah, go ahead with your comments quickly.
Hi to the panelists out there tonight. This is Elston, the legend. We said, well, I called to make my contribution. Look, somebody who was very supportive of Ambassador Boakai's election to state power, I'm going to be very upfront with the issue. I think there was some massive things that were looked very quickly today that could have been avoided. We're not going to be like the outgoing government whenever they air, hypothetically, I'll tell you like this. For instance, if there was He's on the shoes of President Weah. If you saw it and told him it was it, they would tell him, no, it's a piece of cake on your shoes. They would not be upfront with their president. We would be upfront with our president. There were errors made today that could have been avoided. That's the first thing. Secondly, having established that, I'm going to tell every Liberian today, we have to learn to own up to our mistakes and proceed cautiously. Do not be like the predecessor that made a lot of open mistakes that people saw and they denied. This government here today, and we are going to be upfront with from the day one. We'll be upfront and honest with our government. That way we'll do better. Other than that, the program was very successful. I enjoy and respect the fact that the outgoing president, George Weah, somebody who has vehemently opposed, was very, very concerned when that incident occurred today. I watched his demeanor. He was so in awe when it happened. He was very surprised that it happened. But we are all going to rally around our president. There are issues that people do not notice and they do not pay attention to. Healthy athletes have had incidents where they died on the soccer field, very healthy, playing professional soccer. Matthew Foy, if you all remember, he played for Cameroon. He died on the soccer field because of those reasons. Anyone can look this up. You will see it there. There have been presidents who have collapsed. I looked on YouTube and I saw that the president of Portugal collapsed during his speech. This is not unique to Liberia. This has happened before. It will happen after Ambassador Boakai. Everything else, we will learn to take the blame for it, and we will do better, and we'll proceed from there. Do not be a blind loyalist if you love Ambassador Boakai. Be upfront with the issue. It helps when you speak truth to power. This is my honest take on this matter. Other than that, we proceed cautiously. Thank you, my dear brother John.
Thank you.
I'm following.
Well, and you should also, these issues that we are bringing up, and you can only hear them here on Focus on Liberia because we look at all sides of the issues. That's why we are breaking them up. We do not hit President Boakai or President Weah or anybody else, but we look a little deeper than anyone else since 1847. Mr. Collins, you call your name, so 30 seconds to respond to the callers.
Well, I think Nangbe has been unfair when he said we are washing these pile of mistakes. I think it's been unfair. We're the first to, share the various sentiments and take ownership that there were a lot of mistakes that could have been avoided. In fact, the protocol, at some point announcing, we want to announce the arrival of the president of Ghana, the former president of Nigeria. Who is the former president of Nigeria? His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo. Like, these are just simple fundamentals that these people are supposed to understand, especially at a national function that is supposed to perform. The issue about the heat wave, yes, a lot more could have been done better. The old men should, the protocol people should know that truthfully so, the old man's age, you cannot go take a 25-page paper for him to read over a 90-degree plus weather. That was not so well advised. What happened today, like they take away of the program about the president, like I said, it was very unfortunate. It takes away the real true essence of the inauguration program. Now people are, feasting on that. But again, it's very sad and unfortunate. What we want to assure our people here as I close is that the president we support is not a president that will support and go to bed when they start to make mistakes or when they are making mistakes. But equally so, people who are still in campaign move or partisan government needs to give us chance. The old man will deliver on campaign promises. There are still time. Today is just the one of his government. The energy and vigor we have to criticize, and that was a very valid point, Dennis. You brought about the issue of asset declaration. I'm going to run it by people in the Unity Party. I said we need to ensure that this old man declares his asset within not more than 30 days. Because it will be unfortunate for us to go on days and days without him and his people declaring their assets. So we didn't just support Joseph Boakai to go to bed to blind our eyes to reality or to sleep on this old man. No, we will hold public officials accountable, including His Excellency the President. Thank you, Dennis.
When now?
And thank you to Anthony and Thomas also for. Say that again?
Yeah. No, you say we'll hold them accountable. I say when. You have any timeline? What is the ETA on that accountability?
No, we will. We will. No, the thing is, I understand you want to hold them accountable on the one which is true, and also on this platform. I have held the president-elect accountable, the protocol people. I even said the president that was unnecessary. That long speech was just so uncalled for. Joseph Boakai is not noted for giving long speeches, and so forth. By the way, the people are not interested in that. So he needs to understand the terrain. He needs to understand the terrain.
Thank you. Thomas, you're closing.
Closing or respond to the callers?
And close.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, I wanted to make a point on something you said earlier on the length of the program. I think we are just a country that can celebrate and just over celebrate things. Liberia is one country, even preschool. When kids are graduating, we will have this big program. You graduating from elementary, then there will be another program. You graduating from 9th grade, there will be another program. And I say you must graduate from high school. Look at the University of Liberia graduation. They go there and they spend the rest of the day from the morning to the evening. Sometimes the graduates will get home by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Last year when we were having our graduation at Duke University, 1 hour, it was done. Everybody gone home, gone by your business. But in Liberia, every little program is so long. Everybody will sing, group song, solo, and everything. And we take all of these celebrations, and in the end, the real work that is there to be done, even this inauguration with the way it went, there will be people who will celebrate it the whole week. Nothing they will do until they start working next week. So I think on the length of the program, this is something we can work on in the future. I mean, things that I'm not saying we should not celebrate, but we just over celebrate things. On the issue of the asset declaration, there's no point in saying, okay, maybe at the end of the speech. I think the point has already been made. The law says that it needed to be declared and published. And if you wanted it to be published before you even take office, then you must have declared before you take office, so that regardless of who needed to do the publication, it will come up before you take the office. I think where the confusion is right now is not very clear on who should publish, whether the person who's declaring the assets should be the one to publish, or it will be published by the LACC. I think that's not very clear in the law. On the issue of the statement, I think there are a couple of very good points that are made in there on civil society, on transparency and accountability, on our foreign partners. He made a point even on the US government that we should be asking for more in terms of the relationship we have. But how can we do that when much of what you are giving us is already ending in the pockets of corrupt people? We know what happened in Magibi and USAID, and others are saying they are no longer going to give money until the government can investigate that. Right. So I think the speech was good. It was very long, too much of historical context. On the issue of what he did today, I think the appointments are the only ones that we have seen. We are very hopeful that tomorrow and next tomorrow we can see a lot coming out. And then moving forward, we can see what the new government is going to do. The only thing I can tell all of those officials that are coming, Liberia has changed. If you think you can't be minister and nobody will critique what you have done, just look at the number of master degrees that are out there and see who will be at your neck to push you down if you don't do the right thing. Thank you.
And the way I never got a call, that means my superintendent job, I should still be waiting. Today, there were a lot of mistakes. People say 25th president. We already have 25. Joseph Boakai is the 26th president. We have 25 already. So people need to make that correction. You have to watch the History Channel right here on Focus on Liberia, so you will know. Mr. Sia, you're closing.
And then I'm ashamed of myself. During my show this afternoon, I said 25th instead of 26. And that time you see I'm holding myself accountable. That is what we should all do. Look, Dennis, I will close on one issue and one issue only. Joseph Boakai is president today for one major thing among others: experience. With the length of time he's had in government, Boakai should have known this is a man of few words. Throughout the time I followed Joseph Boakai have never had an interview that will pass 35 minutes, read a speech that will pass 30 minutes, not even a press statement that will be long to taking about 10 minutes. Never in his history. For Joseph Boakai to approve a 25 pages speech on a hard sun, where is the experience Joseph Boakai? Now, people are saying, well, give the man time, it's too early. My mother, She's a perfectionist when it comes to cooking palm butter. If you put her here right now, Oma, we just walk 2 hours and we need to eat, prepare palm butter. She will prepare the palm butter. She's not going to say, oh, my son, you know, we walk a long distance, I'm tired. She's concerned about her son. I'm a palm butter guy. My Oma will prepare that palm butter. Joseph Boakai with a length of time in government. And people are giving us excuses that what it's just one day, and, you know, and no executive order, nothing. So then, where is the Joe Biden of Liberia? I mean, didn't you tell her this man is the Joe Biden of Liberia? The Joe Biden of America signed 19 executive orders on day one. Joe Boakai signed nothing. His team did not prepare anything to be done on day one. They all been in the background fighting for jobs. That is why we got 5 names today. There's a serious contest going on right now. Who should get this job and who should not get this job? They are stressing the old man out. The other thing is the experience to take care of this man have. They play politics with it all along. And that's what gave us the situation today. There are surgeries the old man should have done that were never done just because of politics. And I end with this parable. When you slip your toe and fall, you can't blame the place that you fall down. Look at the place where you stump your toe. These things been piling up from day one. And they hate them. They make excuses. Today they are coming to pass. I'm speaking to this issue forcefully, and I'm the bad guy. No, I am the good guy here. We must speak truthfully to the issue so we can correct this mistake. On day one, there's no time. Accountability has no time. Accountability is everywhere. Anytime it must be done. Failure to do that, we're not going anywhere. And that's the reason why we are where we are today. If experience can't help us, what else will help us in Joseph Boakai's administration? I don't know what that is. I rest my case. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you guys for coming. Abby was here earlier. I want to thank our viewers for watching. And I can assure you, you can't get this kind of content anywhere else. Only right here on Focus on Liberia, where we don't just sing a chorus, but we disagree. We bring up the issue so that our viewers will be able to think about this thing critically. And let me tell you, as long as I'm here, you're going to be getting this because, I mean, I'm just wired to give content. And you can't find anybody else like that since 1847, right here on Focus on Liberia. That was a joke. Well, thank you, gentlemen. We never close a broadcast without playing our song that says we are all Liberians. Whether you support any political party or you believe President Boakai should have done XYZ today or later, we are all Liberians. Let's do our best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night and God bless.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.